Good evening. Welcome to Tabletop Talk.
Hello.
The first thing that happens
Hello.
today is that a bot follows. It's so nice to have the bots.
Yeah, it's great.
hype the
It's
channel.
great that we can't get that to be. Oh, you've got the lovely little cat ephemera. Look at that.
Yes. Mew.
Lovely.
Mew has told me vampires are cats because they have fangs. So
Everything is cats
and-
to me.
yeah, but
I'm a cat
but-
because I have pointy ears.
yeah, this happened after. So you might it might be a matter of time until you also have cat ears. Anyway,
Oh,
today's topic is on the screen right now. Though I've scrolled it down enough to the very end, which is very professional of me. But you can read at the very bottom what we
it's
are doing.
okay.
So we up top now. Yeah.
Fuck! I accidentally closed mine. No, it's going to take like 40 minutes to reload.
It's a chunky boy.
Okay, so
you need to download this one. It's not good to do it over the web.
So, this is something that I noticed. I love it. I adore it. It's the thing I want to point out because it gave me all the energy I needed for today. No caffeine, no cocaine, just this. In the character concepts piece, they have the rebel and the specified careers for this character concept.
Give me a second.
No, this is so good.
Yeah, but
They
we
wrote
might not have sound.
criminals in with the politicians. Come on, man, it's super good.
Right,
It's
this is-
great.
this
I
is
love it
good.
when game designers are so topical
That is good.
and so intelligent.
Can someone in chat wait? Do we have sound? No, we have sound. It's all good. I can check that on my own. Okay,
Love that shit.
Moss, it's on your end. Also, hi, Donster. Yeah, today's Aberrant, White Wolf's second attempt at writing a superhero RPG. The first one I have
What was the
forgotten
first
the name of. It's mentioned in this book, so we are going to come across it eventually.
Yeah.
I see.
Basically, this is a prequel to their second one, which is more far future. Where
Yep.
the superheroes have kind of supplanted humanity as the the dominant
dominant
people.
species,
Yeah,
if
dominant
I may.
species, whatever. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, cool. The My Hero Academia game I've always wanted.
Kinda.
Yes, except in the far
Yeah.
future one, the superheroes are all corrupted, have weird bumps all over their body, and
Yeah.
the good guys are all psychics in space.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is this thing is White Wolf to a T, which we will soon see. To start, let me pull up my notes on this one. I don't have a ton of notes because I felt we would just. There's nothing particularly terrible to point out about this game, you know. So I don't have to have.
No, it really just is.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this is going to eventually just evolve into us just talking about the concept of a superhero tabletop.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I have that feeling
exactly.
too. I have that feeling as well.
Mhm.
Well, not
but-
devolve. I think evolve.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Yeah,
I think the
evolve.
conversation is more productive than Aberrant ever has been.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, to give my verdict on this game right at the start, if you like White Wolf games, especially
Mhm.
of the Vampire the Masquerade era, this is gonna be
Go for
very
it.
good, very very good for you if you like also like superheroes.
The abilities all reminded me of when you hit post. I think it's 5 pips on anything in
Yeah.
Vampire.
Yeah, true. True.
Mhm. That's
Where
pretty
you just
much
have
what
this
it's like. Yeah.
incredibly cool, game-changing super abilities, and they're all really interesting. And I could see it working very well.
True. True. And hi, Happy.
Yeah.
Welcome. Also, good thing you solved it, Moss. Good thing you can hear us. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
and because this is very White Wolf, the first 100 or so pages, I think it's exactly 100 pages,
Yeah, it's
But
100.
it's just all the fluff. It's all of the
Mhm.
fluff you'll ever need. And it's all presented diegetically as a bunch of TV and news and broadcast stuff. And this is
I like that.
how the fuck you do your thing, please, writers of games. Hi, Sandert. Because this puts you in the setting so much more. They start out with a 4-page interview with the first confirmed superhero, who is like a fireman who absorbs fire as his primary ability, or absorbs energy rather. And then they go into detail about the history and about organizations, about people, about everything. And we are in the far future of 2009, by the way, at the end of all this. So I guess put your silver pants on and stuff, because there might be flying cars and so on.
And for context, this was published in 1999.
Yeah, that's one of
The same year as the Dragon Ball Z one that we
Yeah.
reviewed
Yes.
was.
It is.
Wow. How great, just little twinsies.
Yeah. I wanted to. So some of the details in this, if you look at the timeline, for example, is a bit weird. Like saying, "Oh yeah, we have because Boris Yeltsin dies, we have a huge crash in the stock market of Russia, which somehow then crashes the world stock market. But don't worry, a year later it's all fine again." Because they had to cram a lot into these 10 years. Because not only does cancer get cured, they also end world hunger and other diseases, and broker peace between Israel and Palestine. It's all happening until 2000.
Wait a minute. I think I missed that one. Wait, what happened?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. And they replaced fiber optic cables already by 2002.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they even better.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a cooler, superpowered internet now. Yeah.
Yeah, literally
Cool.
superpowered internet.
So you might say that they really these 10 years are crammed super full. Also, they put a Republican in the White House who then gets found out to be gay and has to. I don't know if he has to resign, but his numbers go down because he's gay.
That is the most. That is okay. Straight up, that is actually the most accurate thing that could ever happen with a
Yes.
Republican candidate.
Yes, I know.
Where he finds out he's gay like halfway through his term and he goes, "Oh no, I fucked."
No more the silver pants. You just have to buy them because the government doesn't know your pants size unless you accept the other microchip. Anyway,
There is actually a background where you get silver pants that are attuned to you and attuned to your genetic code. So
Oh my god, these fucking silver pants! I can't. All right, now I will say I think it is it. This is actually a really interesting kind of commentary on how comic books tend to be written, especially around the 80s. Not so much the 90s, but about the 70s and 80s, where they took place in these kind of strange bubble universes that didn't have any real world problems.
Yeah, it
By
feels
the
like
90s they started pulling in so much like topical things that were happening
yeah,
like in
yeah,
that
yeah.
year, and they still do. They do it even now to
Yeah, what
much lesser extent, but
what
I think that's kind of interesting, setting up a
hmm
universe
what this
where your biggest problem is supervillains.
yes, what this told me indeed is it wasn't supposed to be about anything but the superheroes, which is, I mean, that's very
Mhm.
apropos. Like, if you are playing vampire, you don't care about human politics in any way, shape, or form anymore. It's just like, yeah, we have our guy on as mayor, and it's always our guy, even if it's a new guy, because we control everything. And this is the same here, kind of. So don't worry about the human stuff. It's kind of fixed. The world is better than before. Don't you worry about that. But also, there's still bad stuff happening. It's just all superhero based now. Which is
Exactly.
fine for it's kind of very true, Emery. It's a sign of the times. Then it's just let's not care about the world so much. Let's care about the characters, which is
Well, yeah, you got to also think
Mhm.
about like what kind of comics were coming out when this game was published.
Mhm.
Like this is the era
Mhm.
of crap knockoffs of like Alan Moore's work. What was coming
Yeah,
out
Oh yeah.
now? This was the height of Frank Miller, Edgelord, Mark Miller, and Liefeld. This is the height of like the Image comic era of gory swearing,
Mhm.
the most amount of Batman throwing ableist slurs at kids, like, and eating rats in a
Yes,
cave. That was this era of comic books. It was the
very
most
much so.
ugly, like, comic killing thing that could possibly happen. So to set this up as we're gonna have a fun superhero game and we're gonna ignore that
yeah,
is great.
yeah. And the more interesting thing again that this is all
Mhm.
gonna end up being a setting where the superheroes just win out and humans are just ignored and garbage in 50 in I think
Mhm.
30 years after the 30 years on was the time.
Next stage of evolution, baby.
Yes, indeed. Oh yeah,
To
we should
piggyback on
we
what you
should
were saying,
Hmm?
piggyback on what you were saying. This is the exact same year that the Batman Man's Land comic book series happened, where they
Mhm.
took Gotham into a post-apocalyptic hellspace. So it's the exact same year. So
Yeah.
it's very much on the money. That was
Oh,
definitely the darkest they wanted to go.
hmm. The other weird tangent we could for sure go on with this one is just comics in general, because
Mhm.
I have strong opinions about comics, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. I have very strong opinions on comics, despite it being an entire medium I care very little for.
Oh, hey,
Yes.
Emery, once more we are on the same fucking page.
Where I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool, but I don't give a single shit for how this entire medium operates, and I feel like even these stories can be done better in other mediums. I
Yeah.
don't know why,
Oh yeah.
but I
Oh
it's not
yeah.
no disrespect because like Alan Moore is one of the reasons that I write. I love that guy's work. However, I find reading his scripts for comics more interesting than the comics.
Elmo scripts are for sure great. Um,
Mhm.
I've only read the one for Killing Joke, but yeah, it's better than the comic. The comic is very good.
And the
Did you
comic's
ever
good.
hear about the excerpts of the script they made him write for a Batman movie?
Nope, I have not.
Because they had him do one, they also had Frank Miller do one, and both of them are zany and insane.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's the crazy thing is that you assume that it's like, oh, they wrote the darkest Batman comics, they're gonna make the dark Batman movies, but like they're just nice
No.
guys.
Yeah.
Especially with Frank Miller, you can't. There's nothing you can do with Frank Miller. That guy's absolutely just like bonkers. He's cuckoo for Cocoa
Mm-hmm.
Puffs,
He
and
is
then Alan
very.
Moore is just a sweet old man.
Yeah.
He-
Um.
But anyways,
Yeah,
so
but anyway.
back to
To get back to our topic at hand a bit, we are going to go on so many tangents today, so prepare your butts.
Yes.
So while
Very
this is
much.
all written very hopefully and like, oh yeah, we have solved tons of problems and things are better now, and
Mhm.
so on. It's also written from a perspective of a it always felt a bit, the whole 100 pages felt like, yeah, if only the right people were in charge. In this case, what happens is, like, something in space blows up. The setting itself does not really tell you what exactly happened, but the space station gets destroyed. At the same time, superheroes happen. And then immediately, almost, the Utopia Project, these guys here, they step out of the woodwork and they're, oh yeah, we have always been a secret organization, which is not so secret. I guess it's just an organization. And we are going to solve all these problems. And that's what they actually do. They just do it. They just, oh yeah, cure cancer. That's fun. Let's do it in 2 years. And yeah, it's all these guys. And then throughout all of it, it's bleeding into it that it's like, oh, but it's not, they are not all good. There's also these bad guys in the center, which is this fine organization, whose name I've forgotten. And yeah, it's the
There's
White
Null in it.
Yeah, it's
There's Null in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's called Null. I think you're right. The
It is.
you can't forget that this is White Wolf. There have to be conspiracies upon conspiracies.
Oh,
So-
constantly. There's so many of them in just the core book.
Reading between the pages, there's probably been superheroes before they officially awoke, and these guys have had them in their ranks and before, and whatever else. And it's all very. It feels conspiratorial.
This feels like this feels like The Boys. This reminds me a lot of The Boys.
Yes.
Mhm.
This is
A lot of
it's
this
a lot
this
like that.
scenario reminds me of The Boys.
yeah. It feels like this is tailor made to do The Boys or do what's the other one?
Invincible would be a good one to do with this too.
Invincible, yeah.
Right.
I'm into that. Those are two of my favorite. I don't like The Boys comic at all. I think it's terrible. But the show's pretty good.
Show's good, but the comic is
It's too edgy.
It's too
all
good.
Yes.
It's
All edge.
yeah, you're gonna cut yourself on that comic, yeah.
Plus Carl Urban. I just I love him.
Exactly.
Yes, true.
Exactly.
So just to recap, or to say again, they can't escape that stuff, and it feels like it's appropriate, that tone. Again, this predates, of course, those shows by a lot. I don't know when The Boys as a comic came out. When did it happen?
I love hearing both Drake and I smash
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, The Boys is way older than
2006,
way
yeah.
younger. Way younger.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, the story of the corrupt superhero is older than this game for sure.
Yeah.
And it feels,
Yeah,
it
and
feels
then-
like, yeah, again, the fluff, or the of this fluff, the 100 pages plus pages of it, which are one of the best things about this book. I mean, you don't have to like this art style.
It's good though. Like I like the
But-
art. It reminds
Yeah.
me again of like the 80s comics.
Yeah, right. You don't have to like the art style they put in, but it's very consistent. It's well made, and it shows that a fucking budget for this one, because they are first 100 pages
yeah.
of this.
Very clear.
It's-
like
This was like the peak of White Wolf, where they had all the
my
money
God.
in the world.
Yeah.
we talked about Alan Moore. Look at these Alan Moore text boxes.
Yes.
Look at these
Exactly.
boxes.
The influence is very real, and again, there's 4 pages of just straight up comic book, including whatever happens here, and in your White Wolf game, which is cool. They knew how to do
I'm
this
so
shit,
in.
and even this interview shit. You could have just put this thing in a normal box and have Donovan, Culpepper, and Brian just talk in text, but they didn't just draw.
No, that's
3
such a
faces.
unique thing.
They drew at least this is twice here, but the others, see, they drew 8 faces to put in this.
No. Look,
it's
even
actually
the two that look
9,
the same are not. They're
Yeah.
two different expressions.
Holy crap! It's right. They just look similar.
Yeah, they went hard. There's a lot of
Yeah,
nuance
and
to this artwork, and it's
And that part is
fascinating.
reminiscent of Frank Miller's Dark Knight, because he had several sections that were done exactly like that, with the TV bubble screen and everything.
Yeah.
God, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you for the blood donation, Impish. And thanks for the lurk. Yeah, Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns is also there. Yeah. Very, very true. I mean, again, they knew how the style. This is very different. Oh, this
Yeah,
sticks out a bit.
that looks like what that is. I can immediately tell this is an actual character that they probably rolled for an in-house employee test game, and he drew it.
It's very possible. Yeah, couldn't say
Yeah.
couldn't say no to that one, because if very rarely does. Oh God, this guy.
This is one of my favorite sections, even though that guy looks totally whack. I really like the idea of everyone else kind of weighing in on this secret organization that looks like it impacts the US the most.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love how the British guy's like, fuck them.
Yes.
Who cares about those Americans?
Indeed, it's yeah. They sure drew some people from the street here. That's interesting.
Mhm.
And this is also very comics. This reflective stuff. They
Mhm.
are in some sort of I guess parking space at night.
I
Maybe
kind of miss that kind
possibly
of
underground.
reflectivity.
It's fucking hard to do. I hate that this
Yeah.
that this goofy ass face is on the. I want to be able to draw like that. It's
He
hard.
stares into my soul, my man.
Yes.
Like, that is... Also, I've met that fat guy.
I mean, yeah, we all have.
I've met
I
him.
think.
I've met
Yeah.
that guy. Like, he is the most like, if you described an overweight white gentleman
Yeah.
from Chicago.
I mean,
Yep.
I've seen
Mhm.
at least one such person have a YouTube channel which is very successful. And you all know.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
and it's-
Linkara.
And it's not
Yes.
going to be the same person for two people here, I think. Velvet, thank you for the follow. I don't know if you're a bot, but thank you. And oh, Onyx Path, hi. You are the owners of Aberrant 1E? That's cool.
Ooh, hello.
Hello.
Greetings. This is the first.
Yes.
Hi.
Straight
Yeah.
up, first
Welcome.
developer we've ever had, or owner. Yeah, this game.
Mhm.
I think it's weird. Like, we have like literally nothing bad to say
This
about
is-
it.
Yeah, I really don't.
This is the first time I wouldn't just rip the owner to shreds. I mean, last time we did
No.
Haven City of Finance. Imagine if that guy had been in our chat. I would have
Can you
loved
imagine
it. Loved
if,
it.
if Mike Pondsmith had been in the chat for fucking Dragon Ball?
Listen,
I would have cried. I would have spent like 4 hours crying afterwards.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
yes, I want Mike Pondsmith to watch me have a mental breakdown over this Dragon Ball.
We did love Dragon Ball, but we sure didn't love the system they wrote for it.
Oh yeah.
This is great White Wolf stuff again. This is just perfectly made up. And I have to admit, I did not read the new Aberrant. I was aware that the new one had come out.
Oh
Yeah, I haven't read it yet either.
I think
we should do a follow up on that sometime.
once we.
Yeah.
I mean, we should.
Oh, yeah.
We should once we have all read it, and we can talk about the new White Wolf or whatever. Is it still under White Wolf now? I would assume so, right? I mean, current owners, did it change hands? I'm not sure. Maybe Onyx Path can enlighten us there. Is this? Well, anyway, again, more and more law, which if we would talk about all of this, we would be a long time. It is very well done.
Yeah.
There's stuff like, wars on our fort will buy mercenaries, super horde mercenaries.
That skull guy is the most 1945 character ever. He would fight the Phantom.
Yeah.
And I'm really into him.
Yeah, yes. I mean, he has 2 spears, which look...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This is cool, yeah. All of this
He's
is
in like
again,
a full bodysuit. I'm digging it.
Yeah. The art again, very good. The direction of everything, pretty good. The layout, actually inventive and keeps you interested.
Yeah.
We even have a gonzo journalism part eventually. I mean, look at this. This is like, we're watching TV. These guys are talking, and now they're looking over there. And there's...
Yeah.
Well,
they're doing a huge prize fight with superhumans. That's awesome.
Oh, I see. You own the Trinity universe.
Really cool.
And Trinity, I said it before, that's the one that's the first edition of this, which this is a prequel to. Which is nice. Yeah, cool. Cool beans. We are
that's
sure
cool.
gonna eventually revisit those. Because normally, give you full context, they were very terrible RPGs. But this is a palate cleanser. This is not terrible. This is very playable and good.
Yes. The last time Well, hold on. Haven't we done good RPGs on this before?
We have done.
I feel like we have.
Yeah, we have done one or two good ones, but the bad ones over.
Yeah.
We did more bad ones than good ones so far, for
That's
sure.
Yeah.
true.
And
Exactly.
1/3 of the ones are going to be bad because I'm the one making us read them. And
I will
yeah.
endeavor to try to find even worse games.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck.
I want us to have a good superhero one, so that we
But
could
yeah.
have a whole chat about just superheroes in general and superhero RPGs.
Yeah, this will be that springboard. I mean, I'm just scrolling down, and here we have this is even done in the fucking style. This is the Gonzo journalism part.
Oh, God, that's cool.
And this is even done in the Roll Duke style. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
This year, they might have gotten the actual artist to do this. Look at this.
It looks amazing. It's cool. It looks like street art. It's
This is also very much the Roll Duke Fear and Loathing style, and it's
it is
done super well. You know.
Oh yeah.
Production interactive restructures White Wolf and direct and produce. Hey, I see. I know that. I know that part, Sondert. It's just like to me, it will always be White Wolf, even if Paradox owns them now. Paradox cannot supplant White Wolf in my brain.
We've had like 25 or so years of just 25, 30 years of just saying White Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
And until they do something with that IP, I'm not gonna, they're making good map games, but they should finally release Vampire, not keep it in production hell or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I could go for a new Vampire. But yeah, speaking of Vampire, what do you think about the actual system and how it plays?
The actual White Wolf system with D10s and so on. I mean,
it's just solid. The dice pooling system just works. Like,
yeah, it just works. It works better than D6 does.
It just works, and this one simplifies it even a little bit.
Yeah.
So what this one does?
This was the start of the simplification era.
Yeah, this one does. Okay, we are almost done. We are almost done scrolling through this. I'm just seeing if anything specific catches my eye. No. So now we are getting to the very, very short index. Which this is kind of enough. They could have done more. This book does have table of contents. The book does have an index, so points for that. We have reviewed so many books
without
index.
Points for indexes now?
We are taking away points for not having an index. That's for sure.
Okay, good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's supposed to be the baseline, but so many Heartbreakers just don't have one.
Yeah.
And
costs money. It costs money to make sure people can navigate your book.
Very nice, very nice. Onyx Path. I'm so happy to have actual knowledgeable, not someone from the ground floor here. That's so amazing.
We really appreciate it.
And that art is, again, on point. Fear and Loathing and the whole Gonzo journalism thing. I love it, and so seeing it like that is so good.
Wow. God, that's cool.
And now, we are getting to the system, and it's going to be the first thing that happens. Okay. It's going to explain to us some terms. And my favorite thing in these is always, where is it? Wait. For the lab section, the live action section, also my favorite part. There's such amazing paragraphs like, don't touch, players may never actually strike or grapple one another.
I don't know. I don't know. If my boys aren't ready for some backyard wrestling action in Tom's basement.
Listen.
When we're playing Aberrant.
I've been at one lab with an actual fist fight. It's just saying the guy with the better powers didn't win. And that led to consequences, but normally it's just good. It's good to have this part. It's always a necessary part, and this one is from White Wolf, so it's okay. I have a quick glossary, what everything means. And then we get to the system, which is again very simple. You roll your dice, which is attribute plus skill, or ability as it's called here, and you're always roll against 7 on your d10s.
Yep.
Mitsune Tapioca, you are cute. You also roll against 7. You can have harder checks before which you then need more than one success. And that's the system. It's simple and it
Yeah,
Really
works.
straightforward.
it's just a very simple system.
Mhm.
I have never had an issue running anything with this type of pooling. Like we've talked about Shadowrun and how ridiculous it is to run before,
Mhm.
and that also uses
Yeah.
some sort of dice pooling system. However, no living man can tell you due to its arcane qualities.
Oh, for Shadowrun, I can tell you, but I'm
No, it's
undead.
all fine.
I'm undead, so you
Yeah,
are
see,
correct.
that's why I said it's horrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's just it's such a pain to run. But I mean, White Wolf games just like we said, just work.
oh, so that
They do.
I
They
saw
really
that
do.
this since it's White Wolf, it had to have some sort of tainting mechanic, some sort of you have to toe the line of humanity mechanic. And
Mhm.
indeed, if you go too far off the deep end with your powers, which by the way come from your brain, you have a thing in your brain,
Yep.
new cortex. I've forgotten the name. That gives you your powers.
I'll find
You
it.
might eventually crave human flesh or blood, or you might crave to eat radioactive materials and so on.
Oh, rad! I could be Michael
Mhm.
Morbius.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's very,
Radical.
very. It's quite viable to make a Morbius character in this, or a Venom, or a lot of other things.
Mhm.
I love that. That's really cool.
Mhm.
yeah, and this system very much allows you to build basically any superhero you might want to build, which we
Yeah.
are kind of getting to now with the character creation. And what I like as well, since superpowers literally appeared within the story of this game 10 years ago,
Mhm.
meaning phase one of your character creation is you make a human, you make a person, a normal person, since you, unless you want to play a child, which you shouldn't, you are gonna have to have been normal for at least a while before you got your powers, and your powers don't necessarily have to be have to gel with what you were before, which is nice, which works. And
Oh yeah.
and the whole game has this concept like you can make, of course, you can build something that's works on each other and so on, but you can also make something that just doesn't gel quite right, and it's also okay, you know.
Oh yeah. It works really well, honestly. The how they decided to portion it out to where okay, you're making your human seeming first because the timeline's only 10 years. It's
Yeah.
not like you can be a superhero for 30 plus years. So
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, if your character's 40 years old, then you got your powers around 30, and then
Yeah.
exactly.
if you're,
Mhm.
I love the idea of playing a 15-year-old. I don't know why. Like you playing like a kid. Nah, man, I'm 12.
Yeah, and you can also just
I'm little Jim from the corner.
you can
I
just
was a flying baby.
I've got I've gotten your powers. Gotten your powers, of course. Not immediately 10 years ago. They could have gotten to you last week.
Yeah.
Re-
I don't know. I'm
Reed
really in on
Richards
flying
is
baby.
useless trope. If you want
Wait.
to invent super science, you can change the world.
Flying milk baby.
I was about to
God,
say I
no.
got my
You
powers
can never get away. No.
I had too heavy of a head, and my dad was like looking away out the window. I dropped my face into my bowl of cereal and nearly drowned. I am now part of the milk. I am the milk baby.
No, can never escape it. It's so
Wait, I'm sorry. Trake and I have become cultists of the great milk
No.
baby, and you are just along for the ride.
Listen, I'm glad
Our
this.
great lactose lord and savior.
I'm just glad this show has lore now, Emery. To be clear.
You can't do anything with me without getting lore eventually.
Yeah, that's perfect. We're never and no one is allowed to explain Milk Baby. We're just gonna have to keep talking about it.
We're just gonna keep running with it.
Yeah, if you
Oh,
weren't there for
what
it,
we
the
need to
lore
do
will
now
grow.
is run an Aberrant game set in Haven, City of Violence.
oh god,
Oh no! Oh, that's just you have literally just created every Rob Liefeld comic ever made.
yes.
Exactly.
Oh
We're
god.
okay. We're gonna play Youngbloods.
Yeah, no one has
All right,
feet.
cool.
No one has feet, and that's a free drawback we all have.
This is actually insane. I just unlocked a childhood memory. I had a toy, like a flexible kind of like rubber action figure of the gymnast from Youngbloods. Who is that guy?
I don't know. What the fuck? What even is Youngbloods? What?
Youngbloods is a Rob Liefeld comic.
Yeah. Full disclosure.
It's basically his attempt at like Teen Titans, but they're all like
it's edgy
they're all like
because
in their
Liefeld.
20s.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great. Full disclosure, I don't really know that many comics, American comics, because they had to be big to get over here. You know,
Mhm.
we don't get every Garbo comic you had.
I have a lot of experience with bad comic books.
I've read a fair few.
I talk about it very frequently, but I worked at a comic shop that had a very, very tiny role-playing game place. Basically, I handled all of the orders and constantly pushed my boss to get more role-playing games because we would have sold gangbusters. But when it really comes down to it, man, oh, I forgot there was an Alan Moore run of Youngbloods. It
Yeah,
got good
there
for like
was.
5 minutes.
uh, I remember that's legendary. I think everyone would have seen it by now. There's this one interview where fuck, what's this? My name memory is so bad. The let's just find it. What's the Marvel father of Marvel Comics? God damn it.
Stan Lee?
Thank you.
Jack Kirby?
Stan Lee it is.
Okay.
And
Oh, are you talking about the thing where he's talking shit on Liefeld and
I'm talking
and the other
about
guy I can't remember? Oh yeah, Todd McFarlane and Liefeld.
this whole thing, where he just we are not going to watch all of this.
Just go to the Stan Lee owns one. Yeah. Right there, 3 minutes. It's the supercut.
Yeah.
Is it? What? Where?
Yeah, right there.
Oh, there.
H Bomber guy.
That's the H Bomber guy.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Okay. Well, this does not display well. We are not watching this full screen. The biggest shoulder pads ever. Big knee pads also. Where's my fav?
The character was Die Hard, by the way.
Which all these, it's so good that all these digs just go right over their fucking heads.
Completely over their heads.
Well, because they're autopiloting.
Yeah.
That's the crazy
thing. They completely
thing.
are.
You guys remember they stole this character.
Yeah.
To use in, I think it was Spawn.
Yeah, it was.
They just, it's just make up a character. Oh yeah, we call him Overkill, and he's the biggest guy ever, and he has big shoulder pads and chains and.
Okay,
no
so the
feet.
thing is that Stan Lee led them into that because he went, okay, here's the name Overkill, and instead of going with something interesting and cool, they just went with Cable. Yeah. They went with Chapel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So I didn't want to watch all of this, but it's just amazing. These guys are the total hacks, and yeah,
completely.
Anyway, I think this okay. The moving works. So, but I mean, you can make again any kind of character here you would like. Right. Where do we even begin here? What do we talk about?
Honestly, it's such a solid system. I like the idea that instead of just focusing on your superhero identity, it's focusing on your character in a very holistic manner.
Yeah,
it's fun. I would play it straight up. I would play it. And this is not even like the Dragon Ball style. Oh yeah, I'd play that for a laugh. No, I'd play a campaign on this.
Yeah.
And on that, I just, man, there really are just like kind of two schools of thought when you're going into a superhero game, and it's very frustrating, and it's why I
Mm-hmm.
don't run them.
Exactly.
Because you have the first camp, and I think this is exemplified by the face rip system that I have constantly talked about, in which they just
Yes.
give you stats for all of the character. They give you a player character sheet for everyone, and what Jim is going to do is he's going to grab Wolverine, and what Peter's going to do is he's going to grab Spider-Man, and what Chris is going to do, he's just going to grab Captain America. And if you tell them, hey guys, I want to run a game where you guys are playing your own superheroes, more than likely they're going to cross the name out and just write their new character name in on that sheet.
Oh,
Yep.
that's okay. Then I have 3 kinds of player for you there.
Oh, what's the
Or
third
rather,
kind?
No, wait. It's 4 kinds. Because all of these
Sundered, everything is better than Mutants and Masterminds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, this is for sure better because this is more narrative. Mutants and Masterminds, you will spend 3 hours doing math, only to have a character that
Yes.
still sucks because you didn't read 500 pages of books because no one's going to do that.
That's my
Yes.
issue, which I think I've complained about this. I would love to do a GURPS or a Mutants and Masterminds stream at some point, because like those are the 2 games that are constantly brought up in response to D&D being so big in the tabletop community. And it's like, yet nobody plays those games for a good reason. The people who play
Yeah.
them are the people who overmathed their characters in D&D 1E. Like,
Yeah, I would talk about
It's ridiculous.
GURPS gladly because I fucking hate it.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
Great.
despise
I also
GURPS.
don't like it. I also
It's-
don't like it.
I like the
The
concept
only thing
of
that
it,
ever
but
came out of GURPS that I enjoyed was the Fallout tabletop RPG, because that was
Mhm.
originally a hack for GURPS that they just completely remade into
Yeah.
a D100 rolling system.
fair enough. Even the original for the tabletop is not very playable.
No.
But at
course
least it has a theme and has a thing. Because the problem with GURPS is that you buy that big ass book of 400 pages, and there's only rules in there. And
Yep.
if you can't spot the issue with that, then you might not be the right player for me to play with.
GURPS fans would say that's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's not.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Also, your books just break down because listen, a friend of mine and we had that vehicle book, the build a vehicle book, and it's next to impossible to use because not only do you have to do advanced math, you also have to then basically redo your math every step because you find out the thing you thought made sense doesn't. And that book is terrible, and you can't build a car in it unless you put 2 days in it. Why would you do that? It's so much easier to look, for example, at Shadowrun and just be like, okay, this car is slightly slower than this car, so I'm giving it 10 less top speed. Done. And you don't need to know that it weighs 2.5 tons and has 300 horsepower. Who fucking cares? And that's the GURPS problem, where everything is way too detailed and way too nuanced for no reason.
It's the issue with military fiction as a tabletop game, where if you ever read any military fiction, it is just a bunch of guys in their mid-40s talking about how the F-14 Tomcat is the best jet in the world. And like nobody cares because there's no character, no story, there's no solid plot or themes. It's just look at how cool this military tech is, and that's the vibe of GURPS.
Also, hot take: if your system is all about being realistic and lethal, I don't like it. I won't like it.
Yeah,
because
it's not fun.
Too much lethality.
Okay, so question: what's the third type of player?
Yeah, sorry. Tensions building on tensions. So no, let's. Okay, there's two types of basic player, and then there's two subtypes of these.
Okay, go for it.
There's the guy you mentioned who's just gonna make. Oh yeah, I like Wolverine. I'm gonna make a character that's my original Wolverine. Do not steal.
That was one guy for me. That was two scenarios for one guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what the third guy is. I remember now.
Cool.
So the second guy is I'm making my original character, which is actually an original character. And that's usually normally someone either who's very creative or who doesn't read comics normally but wants to play superheroes anyway. So they might be making Wolverine, but they don't know it. basically, and you can tell
Yeah.
it's a difference. And the third person is the person you roped into playing, who doesn't really like playing superhero RPGs, but is going to be there because it's the game group is playing superhero RPGs right now. That's the third kind of player.
I always feel bad for that guy.
Yeah.
In like any game, like you're playing like vampire, and he's like, you want to
I know one person like that who just has a hard time coming up with good character concepts because they want to make good character concepts actually. So if you tell them, yeah, superhero RPG, then they're gonna be really unhappy because they just don't have one. They didn't think about it.
I had a player, and I really feel bad for him because the only thing he liked was a very specific brand of high fantasy. And the best I can describe it as is like Eberron or like Final Fantasy, where like all he cared about was mage punk and high fantasy stuff. And if it wasn't that, he didn't have fun and his characters wouldn't engage. So we could be playing superhero games, which we did, and he would basically be a background character or vampire or changeling or anything. He would just sit there and be sad, and I always felt bad for that guy. People who don't engage because they like one type of game kind of bum me out.
Yeah, but to be fair, to my friend, who I'm not gonna name drop, but it's not like they only like one thing. It's like they just don't care that much about superhero RPGs, which is that's a big subcategory of people in the RPG community. I feel like because either you're all in on them or you're kind of not. I am usually on the not camp, just because most games of this type just make you do a lot of math to then have a character that still sucks. Again, that's my experience with Mutant and Masterminds.
And and GURPS.
And GURPS for sure, and other systems. And well, to be honest, we're gonna get to how this system solves it, because again,
the superhero game I ran was in Monty Cook's Cipher system.
Oh, I don't know that one.
And it worked. I'd love to talk about it. It's a very normal game that is ridiculously simple.
Yeah, because
it's very simple.
Because let's get to the problem these superhero systems have to solve that other systems normally don't. Which is, okay, if the Hulk is fighting, I don't know, something the Hulk would fight, like maybe Iron Man in his superpower suit. And let's say my character is also there. My character is original character, not Wolverine at all. How do I contribute to that fight without just getting pasted? Because if my character just didn't pick the right powers, I'm not in that fight. I'm just not going to be a factor. It's like being Hawkeye in the movies. That it works to be Hawkeye in the movies because you are like, yeah, we can show Hawkeye just also shooting something with his bow. But if you're at a table with 5 players and one of them made the Hulk and the others made, I don't know, street level guys with the same points, because normally you can do that in those systems. Just depends how well you min max.
Yeah.
Then the one guy who is the Hulk is going to just do all the fighting and do all the heroing, and the other guys are going to be like, okay, I shoot my gun, and then it bounces off the Hulk, and then nothing happens, and that's not a good time. And that is then where we get to the two subtypes of players for this, and you can like them and have an original character or not. You can suck at building characters in superhero games, or not. And that is a very subjective thing, because far more than in most games, not sucking at building in superhero games is dependent on you not building a character that's completely overpowered compared to the other players. Because again, this is collaborative. If we want to min-max our superhero in Mutants and Masterminds, we can spend days doing so, and it's going to give us returns every day we put in.
Okay. I do have something to say on that concept, just as I would say the resident power gamer of my group. And that's not from any desire to see other players, feel weaker. It's just I get a kick out of combining systems and seeing how they work together.
Oh yeah.
I like to see if I can overclock the engine. This is a thing that I think superhero media does well, but I wouldn't necessarily say like some movies do well. I would say Avengers does it pretty decently.
Yeah.
But having multiple phase or multiple objective encounters, so your guy who runs really fast is going to do the thing that the guy that can run really fast can do. The guy with the bow is going to do guy with the bow things. He's going to probably snipe down like random dudes in the background who are going to cause a problem, or
Mhm.
cover his enemies. And Captain America and Iron Man are going to beef with the big guy, and the Hulk
Mhm.
is going to smash the big guy,
Mhm.
the really big guy. And I think that works. I think that works as a concept, and that's the only thing I think I missed
Mhm.
in my read through of how Aberrant actually tackles that.
Yeah, I'm honestly
Right.
not sure how it tackles it yet. My
Usually that's how we tackled it when I played it back in the day was, well, okay, you have a team of superheroes.
Mhm.
Well, what does a team of superheroes fight? They don't ever fight one guy. They
No.
fight a guy and his mooks, or
Exactly.
they fight a guy and his team. And that's the biggest thing that a lot of everything just likes to overlook, especially in popular media these days. We always focus on, okay, this is going to be a boss fight. Well, okay, a boss fight in a superhero thing is Thanos plus his minions. It's not just Thanos
Yeah.
by himself standing there,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
or
gotta say,
Thanos plus
I
a
think
super glove.
we already talked about Invincible, but I think Invincible is the perfect way to show that.
Yes,
Invincible is
yes.
is is entirely about an incredibly super strong protagonist, but all of the supporting cast are equally effective, if not more so.
Hmm.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
that's super good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, just looking in chat. Incidentally, Steve Kenson, who co-wrote Silver Age Sentinels and designed Mutants
Ooh,
Masterminds, helped us develop the new edition of Aberrant. Okay.
that's cool.
Good,
That's definitely neat.
good on ya. I would say Mutants and Masterminds. I just don't like it. It's not that it's necessarily bad. I think this is for sure better because narratively it just works better, and you don't have to do as much math.
I think my issue
Yes.
with Mutants and Masterminds is not even the core design, but the community around it. It's the constant
Yeah.
aura of smugness
Oh
and
yeah.
like
Yeah.
there
There's
there
a lot
was
of
a
smoke.
weird thing in the tabletop community, and I don't think it's around anymore, but it was very prevalent in the early 2000s, and it was Mutants and Masterminds guys basically having a "my dad can beat up your dad"
Oh god.
conversation by saying
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
M&M character is stronger than your D&D character. And as somebody who's been a designer for a really long time, the only response is, what do you mean? These are two different systems. There's no comparison that we can make.
Yeah, but they put the work in and they can make a comparison because they know what strength 18 means. This
It's
is, by the way,
ridiculous. It's
same
ridiculous.
exact people who in 3.5 would do those. Yeah, if I take one level in this class, one level in this class, and then I can be prestige at this and this and this and this, and then I have infinite hit points. That's the same energy, and that's the worst kind of person you could ever try to play with.
Yeah. I like how you just kept going after I said that was me.
I don't think you mean that. I don't think you mean that.
No, I really liked seeing how, well, again, they have to make sense for the character, and I think that's
Yeah.
where the
Yeah.
issue
It's-
with the hardcore power gamers come
Yeah.
in, where it's like, no, it doesn't matter the character. I'm always going to build, a blackguard shadow dancer, that can infinitely hide and attack and do theoretically like infinite damage. It's
Yeah.
awful.
It's
Mhm.
it's the thing that always happens is that some guy has some fun doing like, oh, if I build like that, well, what do you know? I do have infinite hit points because I can just do this and that, and then yeah, they wrote this. Look at this. This is funny. And then another guy comes in. This, oh, that's amazing. Let me also try to find something, and then they also find something. And then over time, as more and more people congregate there, some people start taking it seriously, and then they are neckbearding about how their character is the most amazing because of all the stuff they can do. Oh, Yukashimi, you are cute. Thank you for the redeem.
I think 5e has done a very good job of bringing
Yeah.
that in design
It
wise.
has.
Mhm.
5E's design is really good. And also
That's why
White
I
Wolf's
see.
design
I don't
also.
think I'd ever go back to 3. Oh yeah, White Wolf does a really good job with that.
Hmm.
I think the
Yeah,
best
they
part of
do.
White Wolf games at any point is like, yeah, you can be the strongest guy in the world, but like, another guy could just show up and roll a really good pool with the same power and just beat you in a
Yeah.
couple hits.
And
You
that's,
could be Superman, but
yeah, this is
I
why.
don't know who fights Doomsday. Doomsday shows up and beats you up.
Yeah, this is why I feel this. I mean, again, Mutants and Masterminds as the counter example here. Mutants and Masterminds,
Oh yeah.
Gives you hundreds of points to build your powers out and modifiers for those powers and everything, and it's just a nightmare. And here you get 30 points, and this is the table you spend them on, and then you're done, which is nice.
It's super straightforward.
Doesn't really allow you a huge level of min-max right off the bat. And even if you do that, it's kind of okay because it's hard to take bad powers here. It's kind of funny that, for example, night vision is something you also would pay 1 point for because it's a 1 point power.
Yeah, it's not a huge thing,
Yeah, but it's one of those things where you wouldn't spend 1 point because that's the min max I am. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm totally fine not having night vision.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I get infrared instead? Can I get some crazy? Instead of infrared, can I get some crazy X-ray vision?
We're gonna get to lots of powers over the course of this. Don't you worry, Emery. But let me talk some more about
my power fantasies.
My slight experiences running superhero games. Or rather ours, because I think we've all tried, haven't we?
Oh yeah. I'd love to get into that because I mean a big issue I have with progression is progression in superhero games, and I actually really like the experience system in this. It's really good.
Yeah, right.
But please, as the host, continue.
I mean, I guess technically, Drake, do you have? You gave us this to read, so do you have any big inputs on anything before we go?
For what we've covered so far, or what?
Yeah, anything we are.
Anything?
Yeah.
Well, I've played in 3 campaigns of this. 2 of them are really short. The third was a bit longer. It holds up really well over time because, like with most White Wolf games, like okay, I'm getting XP over time. I can buy stuff.
Yeah.
With this, like the evolution of powers is done in a way that, frankly, works out really well. It wound up feeling feeling smoother than Disciplines and Vampire because, like, okay, well, we got another level of Disciplines, but there were so many times where I was just like, well, I might never use this. There were so many stepping stones like that.
For
sure, it was cool to have it, but like, I don't know. There were times where I was playing a character with Dominate who didn't modify people's memories that often because the Bruja and the Gangrel just beat the crap out of everybody. So that happened often. But in Aberrant, even if I was playing like the Trick Bow character, I still had a place. Like, okay, I'm going to go disable the alarms.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing about the system is just like, if you min-max and you're just like, I'm going to be really awesome at using my claws, you can do that, but then that's what you do. Whereas there's so many other games like Mutant and Masterminds, like I don't even remember the last time I tried to build a character in that system. I think it's been 12 years, literally that long. And I just seem to recall, hey, you need to take this before you take that, before you take this other thing. Oh, but make sure that you have 3 points in dumb bullshit. And that always drove me nuts. I don't. There were a lot of prerequisites that we put up with in 3rd edition, but it still wasn't on par with Mutants and Masterminds. For prerequisites that you had to take for XYZ.
I can recount my only experience trying with Mutants Masterminds as such. My game group, really, after seeing Avengers, the first one, really wanted to play a superhero game.
Oh, wow, I have almost the exact same story.
So I was like, well, I don't know. I could try running it in Mutants and Masterminds, I guess, since I didn't know any other game that we could use. And then we tried. Then we all met up in one room, and this was before COVID times, long before, obviously, if it was first Avengers. And we cracked the book open, and 3 hours later we just decided, no, let's play more Shadowrun. This sucks. And we never finished any characters. But by the time we had built half an Excel sheet to just automate the process of point allocation because it's so complicated.
It really is. Ugh.
Okay. So my experience is very similar. I've run a number of superhero games over the years, but the most recent one I think is the kind of the best
Mhm.
story that would connect to this. My first ones were all I think like face rip, and if I remember right, there was a DC tabletop game that was very poor out of I think the 80s or early 90s. It was not good. It was very much like an 80s game or 70s 80s game. And Face Rip is a huge 70s game. It's just it's so similar to like old school TSR D&D because again it was made by TSR. But
Mhm.
man, the most recent one I think I did was it was in 2015, and I had a friend who tried to run a superhero game immediately after, which I think is like the worst thing. If like somebody runs a game and then you go, okay, right after it's done, I'm gonna do the same genre. I'm gonna do the same thing. And it's gonna work out
Mhm.
great. But so it was right after I think Age of Ultron came out. So that's
Mm-hmm.
2015.
Could be.
Mhm.
15.
Or
So My Hero
sounds
had
right.
also come out, and people were really into into My Hero, and I I remember running. It was a Cipher system game. I have Cipher sitting over there, and it's a pretty solid game. Just a single D20 roll. I don't think the GM rolls any dice in that game. Yeah,
What,
I
Cypher?
think
Yeah.
yep. It's only the players roll a single D20,
Mhm.
and we played this game that everybody was really interested in playing really low level heroes. Wait, I can date it exactly. I know what game came out. Like the day. Like the day. Hold on. Come on. Can I get it? Yep. Because Infamous Second Son came out in 2014. So I
Oh
definitely
yeah.
ran this in
Oh yeah.
2015 because I bought a PS4 late and played it in 2015.
Nice.
And so I wanted to run a very street level game, and I ended up playing Cypher System, and rolling through kind of that more infamous low level street hero game. But the issue comes in with everybody going either I want to be Iceman or I want to be knockoff Iceman if we're not playing in the Marvel universe, or I'm going to make my original character and I do not care about everyone else, or you get the guy who wants to be Batman or Daredevil and doesn't want to join in, with the rest of the Defenders.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
that's
I don't know why that guy shows up.
um
I don't know why that
yeah.
guy shows
That
up.
guy usually plays Ranger in D&D.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know why that guy shows up either.
Mm.
Any role-playing game is collaborative. Please find a reason why your character is also there and why they would want to stay.
Mhm.
I think that's a thing that's very clear again with the Defenders reference. Like, yeah, Daredevil's kind of a solo hero, but he teams up with Spider-Man and he's part of a team. And when he's part of the Defenders, he's not just Daredevil.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
You've got to be in with everybody else.
just to look at chat again, Onyx Path, the idea
Yeah.
that you kind of section out the high skill, high luck people versus the actual superpowered people. That's cool.
I really like that.
I do like that. That's nice. And makes them also feel unique because well, they might not be the Hulk, but at least they are on the level of their kind of thing. They are very competent. That feels better to me than just making them, I don't know, lower powered superheroes or something.
I do like playing competency porn characters.
Yeah.
I was about to say I love the competent
Yeah.
man's archetype. I actually really like that, mainly just because I like pulp novels.
Oh yeah.
So I like characters like Doc Savage and the Phantom and the Shadow.
Or characters like what is his name?
Oh yeah, we also
from Burden Notice.
I don't know, that guy who dresses up like a bat.
Yes,
oh, yeah,
that bat guy.
Damn similar. My longest running characters in Shadowrun are always the guys, the ones that do the most things. It's just generally competent without being super at any one thing, because you just end up with the spotlight a lot. Because surprise, surprise, the guy who made Wolverine with 27,000 attack points, whatever, is only going to be good at using those to fight, and otherwise he's just going to stand around doing nothing. And
Well, maybe he can use his samurai honor that he gained in the 1800s.
yeah, maybe that could happen. but if you just make the competent character that can,
I'm sorry.
I understood that reference, and it's a good one.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good. I'm just imagining Batman with the monocle. That's what I'm
That's
imagining.
Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
But yeah, the more spotlight you can
Oh,
can
God,
hog, the better. Which is also why negative traits that give you more screen time are negative traits for me. Anyway, we are.
I don't know. That's always been a thing where I don't hate the concept of the competent character. I love it as a character, but again,
Mhm.
it has to be something where if you're gonna do it, you have to be tangibly worse at it than the guy who's specialized.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's,
And that is a very fine line to walk, and it takes a really, I would say, nice and good person to play that correctly.
Mhm.
I feel Shadowrun does this well. If I may
Yeah.
just do even, I know what this episode is called, but we are just tangenting, which is fine.
Mhm.
Because I think
The game is just so good that
Yeah.
there's
No,
nothing to rip into.
because again, Shadowrun and this use very similar systems with dice pools and rolling against a specific success number. That this is also a system where this would work in. If you make the generalized person in Shadowrun, you're not going to be by far not as good at stuff, but you can try everything, which is very, very strong in and of itself. You will always know just enough. You will be able to talk yourself out of most situations, and it's just you will sometimes need help from the person who is really competent, whatever you're doing. But overall, you can just try things, and trying things is the fun part of role playing, in my opinion. And so here as well, because again, you're making your human who has a full array of human abilities. Then you give them superpowers, and it's gonna be pretty easy to make an interesting character here. Actually,
Yeah, you can throw a dart at the wall and make an interesting character with this system.
Yeah. Kind of I managed to circle us back into it. I want to explain one thing about this one. So we're learning how to. You gain XP, and then you spend XP piecemeal on getting better stuff, which is
I like that.
the system always do it, which is always good. I don't like level-based systems; they are fine. I prefer stuff like this because it's just nice to be able to grow over time and not just we are fighting this whole dungeon. I learn nothing, and then there was ding, and I level up, and I gain in another attack or whatever. That feels very artificial to me. But if I just go in and I punch a wall for a few days, then I might gain experience in punching walls, and I might raise my, I guess, either strength or my constitution.
That's what I
Or
like
your
about
wall
this
punching
system so much.
specialty.
Yeah.
They talk about it a little bit higher up, where you can't actually improve something you're not working on.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't show up in the game and you're not training it and you're not, actively using that skill, your GM's just not going to allow you to raise it. Like you're not going to get any smarter if you don't read. You know?
Right. Once more,
You're not going to increase your energy powers if all you do is fly.
Yeah. Thank you for the blood donation, Sanders.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's
like
cool.
games putting that limiter on you.
Ironically, that circles right back around to Invincible because that's exactly what his dad explains to him.
Yeah, true.
You're a baby flyer. Don't get me pictures of Spider-Man.
It's like peeing your pants on purpose.
Yeah. What?
Omni-Man is such a good character. I love him so much. I want to watch
I love
that
him.
series again.
Get me
It's
pictures
really
of
good.
competence,
I just
man. Yes.
Get my pictures of competent man.
Competent man is a menace.
Yeah.
He can paint a fence real good.
What do you mean? A New Yorker can't do everything the competent man can. He's just a regular guy.
So,
I can read a book.
besides your attributes and skills, or abilities as they're called here, and your superpowers, you also have a nature, an allegiance, and you have those two you have, and then there's other stuff that comes in. So what's nature? Nature is basically who you are as a person. Like you could be an architect, so you try to build organizations, build things, and so on. And these tell you how to roleplay, and they give you willpower back. Willpower is a thing in all White Wolf games where you can just spend it to gain automatic successes or gain rerolls and so on. It's basically like a luck stat or something. And this is good because they tie in role playing with the actual system in a very nice way. Because even the person who usually maybe just sits at the table and comes to life when it's time to shoot some guys in the combat might want to roleplay a little bit now and again just to gain willpower back. Not that you can force people who don't really are into heavy roleplay to do it, but it's nice if those people have a moment and you can reward that as the DM. Because
then all you do is you take that nature and you be a follower.
Yeah, for example, it's not that
right
hard. I mean, there's several here you can take.
I was actually reading through the Theros setting book the other day, as I want to do when I'm writing games, and I came across something where you're picking all of these heroic destinies and stuff like that, and you're influenced from a god, and then there's one that's just I think it's like called like the lifelong companion, and you play Patroclus to Achilles, that's all you do.
Nice. That is nice.
I'm
I
actually
like that.
hell yeah, if Jim just wants to show up and be like, yep, all right, I'm hanging out with my bud, I'm hanging out with Achilles. This is my role. There you go.
Your allegiance is kind of who you work with. You can be independent, you can be one of the bad guys in the Project Proteus, you could be
the superhuman supremacists.
Yeah, kinda. That's one of these that's Terrigan. Who just don't accept mundane people's laws for themselves, who say that every superhuman is
they're above it.
Basically their own country.
They're the Magnetos.
Yeah, they're the Magnetos, basically. True.
Oh, look at that. There's the entire mission statement of White Wolf, Wheels Within Wheels.
Yeah. At heart, Aberrant is a game of mystery and conspiracy played at the highest levels of geopolitics. Yeah.
Wait, is that copy pasted from Vampire?
No, it's probably not. It's probably copied, then edited, then pasted because it does look different.
That's exactly what I want when I'm playing my game of superhero fantasy is geopolitical intrigue.
I would say I don't necessarily, but this game also tells you the golden rule of White Wolf, which is if you don't like it, change it.
Yeah. Just to be said, I did meme on it, but yeah, I actually do really like that stuff. I think it's really cool. I think if you are making a superhero setting and you are not talking about how they're influencing, political machinations, then I think you're writing a bad superhero setting.
That's very true.
That's why Homeland is so interesting.
I'm just imagining now. Hulk, negotiate it. You win.
Bruce Banner would show up to the UN and nearly have like a conniption fit.
Yes.
It'd be awesome.
So good.
Teen Tomorrow. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
written in the core rulebook.
Put that in the okay. You know what?
Your new book. I have to buy it now because this sounds really good.
Oh man, yeah, let's go.
I've been looking. Full disclosure, yeah. Why I don't like superhero games, RPGs mostly.
Okay, go for it.
I have years ago found Worm, which is a superhero novel online, which is basically War and Peace sized because it's hundreds of thousands of words and it's all very, very good and I love it. And I tried to run that in Fate. It didn't go well. because Fate is hard for people to wrap their heads around sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I found that personally. That if
My
you have,
issue with Fate is that I just don't like playing it. That's always been it. If it's very boring to me.
it might be a thing where I just haven't played enough of it. But yeah, it's my problem.
I've played a lot of Fate. I didn't enjoy it.
I have. I mean, yeah, maybe you know more than me. For me,
No, it's okay. I just it's not about knowing more. I just don't like the system.
fair. I found that it's. I mean, I played it with two different groups trying it out, and about half of all players just didn't click and didn't really understand that they could influence the story a lot more, and just played like a normal RPG, and then it didn't really work out well. And so I wouldn't want to run my dream game of Wormverse in Fate, but I could try it in this one, or more likely in the new one, since I would assume it's more up to date in some aspects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it is definitely. Like just looking at a few previews, I'm like, ooh, I actually really like what they've done.
Because I do like me some Worm, just to go on that tangent as well, since we are tangenting, which is like, yeah, you only get one power, make the most of it. And the main character of that whole thing basically just the ability to control small creatures. And so basically insects. And yeah, it's very charming until they just go into someone's lungs because, well, they do not have survival instinct while they are controlled. It's a very dark series as well. That basically ends up ending several planets by the conclusion. But it's so good. It's so I love it. It's not flawlessly written, but it's a lot, and it's everything I want from superhero fiction. So it's why I've always tried to find a game, and this is basically what I would use right now, since I now know of it. But do we have more tangents, or do we talk about the game a little bit?
I think we can go back to talking about the game. Honestly, this is really hard. How many times can you say I enjoy it or I like it? You know,
I'm gonna now assume for 2 minutes that people here don't know how Vampire works, which
okay, go for it.
Yeah, that's the best place to go.
Yeah, so you have a skill, an attribute ranging from 1 to 5. If, for example, you have a 1 in strength, you're weakling, deadlift 15 kilograms. If you have a 5 in it, you can deadlift 240 kilograms, which is 500 pounds. And yeah, and that's all attributes. If you have 1 in dexterity, you're just a klutz. If you have 5, you're Olympic gymnast levels, and so on. And that's every attribute. You have up to 5 pips. And every attribute then has abilities associated with. For example, dexterity has athletics and drive and firearms and so on. And those also go from 1 to 5. And that's how many d10s you have. And every 7 or above is a success. And so the more 7s you roll, the better. If you don't roll any 7s or above and there's a 1 in your roll, then you botched and bad things happen. That is the system. I have just explained it to you. That is all.
Yep.
And now that I did that, we can talk quickly about backgrounds, which is kind of another thing this system does. You can have different background things that just give you stuff in one way or another. This is very, very open-ended, up to the player. For example, if I have allies in my background, if you have no allies, you are a loner. I mean, not necessarily a loner, but you don't have people to draw on. In the worst case, of course, NPCs. If you don't have allies, when you're playing a group, the group is still your allies. Yes. And if you have 1 pip, you get 1 ally of moderate ability. So you could, for example, have your sidekick as an ally, and so on. And you have all sorts of different things. Contacts, bring me pictures of Spider-Man, and would be people in the reporting world, blah blah blah. And this is, you build your character up to have different stuff. Basically, you get some points for free. Yep. You can even get more points usually through roleplay during gameplay. And this rounds out a character very well, because they tell you, you get these points, just spend them. It's just one of the things this does better than Shadowrun, for example, because in Shadowrun you can be like, no, I didn't spend any points on contact just to be more awesome with my gun. And then the DM is like, yeah, okay, you don't get called to the adventure because you don't have anyone to call you. Make a new character. because of course that is the kind of thing that the system just preempts by saying, yeah, you have to take some of this, please.
Yeah, you do.
And that's good. That's good design. But Shadowrun is a very good system, but it has some flaws where it's too min-maxy. And since this just gives you a lot of, tells you every time you get, I don't know, 30 points for your attributes. I don't actually know how many it is off the top of my brain, but it doesn't matter too much. But you get that many points for this, that many points for that. Just put them where you want. You can still min-max in that, but it's always going to be like, hey, you have not that many points to put into 9 attributes. So even if you're stupid and not very charismatic to be very strong, you're obviously creating yourself some weak points that can be easily exploited. And that ends up working super well. I feel it's one of the best parts, that you can't be too good, but you can also be too bad. And it has that through line through the whole character creation process.
Now, of particular note for Aberrant is that backgrounds, you can get a few things that are completely unique to it that you don't find in other White Wolf systems, like attunement, where you can attune your quantum signature to objects. Like you want to attune the supersuit you're wearing. The supersuit then isn't affected by the powers that you use. So if like you're Mr. Grow Man and you attune your supersuit, you can grow and you won't rip out of your suit.
Yeah, if you want it.
Things like that.
My Superman is instantly naked as soon as he tries to fight anyone. This is
because it's made out of his hair, isn't it?
At least 1 point of attunement. Oh, that's one. No, it's a field. They say, I don't know. Maybe it's his hair. That's Bayonetta, though, I think. But yeah, I like the idea of having a household appliance that's immune to my power. I want to hit people with the kitchen sink.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's completely valid. Then there's a couple others like U-Fiber, which is basically a colony of some kind of strange living thing that's supposed to work in tandem with Novas, which are the superpowered people in this setting. And you can attune yourself to it, and it can do things for you. You can store quantum points in it and stuff. And then they also have, there's one more I want to point out. The node that's inside of your head was Mazarin Rashid node is what it's called. You can pick a background to make that grow. And if it grows really big, your taint grows, which taint is the out of context sounds awful.
Are we children? Are we fucking children? The moment that the word taint showed up, everyone started laughing.
Yeah,
exactly.
I am definitely a child when it comes to the taint. I mean, yeah.
Taint is the corruption in this system.
Everyone has to have at least a little bit of taint in the system, yeah.
Yes, you have to have a little bit of taint, a little skin in the game, if I may.
Yes.
Little skin on the
taint.
But yeah, you can do that. You can decide to not take any points at all in Node if you want to. It's totally up to you.
Onyx, I find it very forward-thinking that you would shine a light on today's issues by calling it corruption.
I like that.
Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look.
Yeah.
Look. All right.
Yes.
Anything you can do to remove that type of language from your book will help you.
Yes, it will.
And I like that.
Yes, I'm very glad, actually.
I like the term corruption more. I think it sounds cooler.
Yeah.
Also,
I think
it's a little more fitting for what happens to you too.
It's also kind of more descriptive of what it is that's actually happening. Yeah.
Yeah, because they give plenty of good examples. So.
Yeah.
It's like you can be tainted by anything. Like corruption is a force that goes against you.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I mean, like you could describe dropping coffee on your carpet to be tainted.
Yeah, the carpet is not tainted, which means it's eventually gonna want to eat you. So.
Oh no! Not my shag.
If it grows
Down
enough.
Boy.
So, I'm flashing back to a Spoony video.
Yeah. Right.
The floor is alive!
I think everyone starts with some willpower. Okay. I did
How do we get to talk about
it? What?
Because I said taint.
Yes.
And that got us to Spoony. How...
It's a tangent. It's tangent time.
All right.
It's okay.
This game is just it's Tangent City here.
Yeah,
It is.
but it's fine. We're
But
having,
anyways,
having fun. I want to just quickly go past. So you can have willpower, quantum, and corruption. Um,
mhm.
The willpower, I explained willpower before. It's basically you are able to reroll some things. You can resist your instincts, and you can resist your taint. Wink.
Okay, hold on. Okay, wait a minute. This is the one thing that was not clear, and this may be cleared up by people who have played this more often. How is Taint represented as like a character thing? Is it like
we are
is
getting
it
to
like
that.
Man-Batish, or
We
like
are-
are you
we
gonna get
are-
gross
Actually listed,
six
they
armed
give
We
ex-
have a
Spider-Man?
list that's coming
Oh,
up
sick.
soon.
Yeah,
So,
the list
cool.
is pretty
Yeah.
soon after. Yeah.
so
Awesome. I can't
so
believe I missed it.
just to explain, you can spend it up to, you have a pool, you can spend it, and if you do RP things, you get it back. And if you don't have any, then you can't resist your nature and have to act according. Which for normal people might be I have to now be corrupt or I have to steal or whatever. And for a superhero might be I have to I can't resist drinking this nice blood from this person I'm supposed to save because they just smell good. Which maybe not the best thing to happen, but very superhero-y. And then you have quantum, which is your power pool, basically, because every use of your powers costs quantum. And I think you get it back pretty quickly. Same
Yeah.
for a while, complete relax. And you can just not use it, and you get it back over time. Which
Oh, I love these. I just started scrolling through some of them, and I love these abilities.
Yeah, they're
These are
really good.
Cool. Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of them.
Wow.
That's good stuff. And now we get to the taint, which I mean we all knew it would happen eventually.
And eventually.
Eventually, we knew it was coming.
Yeah, you can gain temporary taint, which is as you use your powers, it might temporarily put some points on you, and you might lose these again, which is supposed to happen. You can do stuff to make it go away, but if you don't, eventually it's going to turn permanent. That's I think how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, if you get 10 temporary taint, you abruptly get a point of permanent taint, and you clear all the temporary taint.
Okay.
So.
Right. So you don't want to go over, but if you push your powers, you're gonna get it, and then you get eventually you develop aberrations. The thing the system is named for, actually.
Yep.
And these start pretty with low level stuff, like you have weird eyes, it's glowing eyes or something. You might.
I like the giant muscles. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but just like you
Yes.
turn into a Rob Liefeld drawing,
Yeah.
and now you have tiny little legs and feet, and absolutely jacked muscles.
So that's I know it's a problem, but we can solve it.
Also, I like how the last thing in this is unearthly beauty, and immediately when you hit medium level, you get hormonal imbalance lust, and I know exactly what character I want to be.
Yeah. Unearthly beauty. They seem to have reused that for Prothean or whatever. Prothean does the same thing.
Yeah.
We are just too perfect, so it's off-putting, which is interesting.
That's actually one of my favorite details. I am
Yeah.
so into that concept.
Taint is sort of like that Spider-Man story where he suddenly brought 4 more arms and started getting.
That's one of the abilities in the highlight.
Yeah.
You get built multiple limbs. That's why
Yeah.
I went nuts. Like I said, what can you be 6-armed Spider-Man? And then I immediately almost went mute. It's because I was laughing too hard at the idea that it's in there.
Yeah.
6-armed Spider-Man.
Already in there.
It's also
So
worth
cool.
pointing out that these are examples, so you can go nuts with your stuff. So it's like low level is this stuff, then you get medium level, which is you might have allergic reactions to things, you might have just emit energy because you can't stop it. You could be, I mean, you're shooting lightning out of your face just because you are a superhero, which could be a problem. You could be, let's not mince words here, a rape monster. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You literally could.
Not the best thing to put in your book. This is a specific thing I wanted to point out and say, maybe don't. Maybe just don't go there. It's not a fun topic. And
yeah, I mean, you can easily just cut that last segment out, and now this has become kind of a funny weird thing that your character is.
Mhm.
And I mean, you don't have to go full the boys with it. You know, you don't have to
Yeah,
go there.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's
But
not.
hey, you know what? I will say, kind of just rule of thumb. This is the late '90s.
Yeah.
This was the age of tabletops having really edgy content, and
Oh
that
yes.
is
Mhm.
honestly, in terms of wording and how it's delivered, very very tame for edgy book.
Yeah.
Oh
Because
yeah,
Like,
very much
again,
so.
we have read Haven City of Violence, where being a white
yeah.
supremacist gives you tangible
Mhm.
advantages to your combat abilities. So
Mhm.
we are definitely not. I'm definitely not
Benefit
saying
of the
this is on the level. This book is competently written and it's good. It is
Yeah.
Mhm.
fine. It's just, if I want to point out that stuff like this, you don't have to even go there.
Yeah.
It can be implied if you want. It's you if because it's already telling you your nature. If you have no willpower, you have to act according to these. So if you have to act according to your lust, what could it possibly mean? I don't have to need it. Don't spell it. Don't spell it out. Just don't.
On top of that, I think people who are going to use that type of darker content are going to do it regardless if the language is there or not.
Indeed, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
All you're doing by using it is alienating people who want kind of a very safe experience.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And well, then you could have mental
That is
disorder.
it's
You
not a
could
box
have
you can close again. Once it's
yep,
open,
yep,
it's
yep,
always
yep.
open.
Yeah,
It
it's very
depends.
Pandora.
And it's like if your whole group wants to play that, it's even fine. I don't care.
Yeah. All
Just
right.
it doesn't have to be
Cool.
in the language of your game. That's my whole
Yeah.
point. I mean, people can make their game about whatever they want, and I'm not
Yeah,
going to
not
stop them.
shaming anybody.
Yeah. And in the worst kind of thing, you can be you have oozing skin. You could be radioactive. You could be sheerly hideous. You could have slough flesh and so on. So you are at this point you can be the blob.
Yep, you definitely
I
can.
like megalomania.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like
Yes.
that too.
Mhm. I like that one a lot.
This is also a thing where I feel like a lot of people were kind of skimming over the mental disorder section. I feel like a lot of people would be really really aggressive towards that. But honestly, I think those type of issues arising from significant changes to your body, I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. It's kind of neat.
It's also kind
Mhm.
of the thing that these can be in place. I mean, if you look at Homelander, Homelander looks
Yeah.
perfect. Homelander might have the thing where he looks too perfect. Here, the low level, what was it called, unearthly beauty thing?
The unearthly
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because he's
I
kind
can
of
see it.
yeah. I mean, it's still
He looks like he's made. He looks like
yeah,
he's
exactly.
engineered to
But
be the poster
you
boy.
can be
Which, hey,
fucking
who knows?
sure a Homelander has megalomania, and that's
He's
also a
megalomaniacal, and
mental
he
disorder.
has probably delusional kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Oh yeah.
disassociation.
He also he is kind of into Milk Baby in ways we don't even know. Um. Anyway, but so it doesn't have to be that you are literally radioactive. You're just inhuman in ways that make
However,
it that are more or less obvious.
if you want to be the toxic Avenger, that is a possibility.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to be Swamp Thing? It's very doable
Yeah.
in this system.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Swamp Thing, let's go.
And now,
I love Swamp Thing so much.
now we explain mega attributes, which is
All right, let's go.
it's pretty
I'm so
simple
stoked.
actually. So if you
Yeah.
these
By
are
the
one
way,
of
I just purchased the new TC Aberrant,
yeah, I'm gonna
and
do that soon as well
Mhm.
because it does sound great so far. So
That sounds really good.
your super attributes are also rated from 1 to 5, and you can only have as much super as you have normal. So if you have 1 strength, you can have 1 super strength, which is gonna work perfectly fine for you. Which is like you are kind of the Steve Rogers thing, you know. He didn't actually start very strong, but now that he has 1 super strength, he has stupendous Olympic weightlifters. Looks, as you know, you deadlift a ton, and you gain 5 automatic strength successes on might rolls, close combat damage dice pools. So you just punch like a truck.
awesome.
And this is a through line. You gain automatic successes for things. You gain and you're just very very good. So
Yeah,
the
you get
through line
mega.
for this whole thing is that if you have as much as 1 point of super attribute, a normal person can't really do anything against you anymore. You're just better.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
thing
You're just Superman. Like
That's
you'll
just-
turn you
yep.
you'll turn people into paste if you don't
right.
hold your strength back. I take that.
There's an exception. If you have a character who has 5 normal strength, they can spend a lot of willpower to for a moment resist you, which is still not. They're gonna have, I think, 1 dice against all your super strength,
Mhm.
but they have a chance to at least do something, which is okay. You can put that in. That's fine. But you are very, very strong in if you have super strength in this or super attributes in this. This is
Mhm.
mega strength specifically, and you get stuff for it. You might have to buy these. I think you have to buy these. If you scroll up, there is like we are gonna find this table eventually, maybe with the costs of things. Oh my god, was it right at the start? Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
way back.
Okay. There's the leveling.
Almost
and
there.
right. The mega attribute and enhancements, I think, is the thing we are talking about here.
Yeah,
I'm
enhancements.
so into that. I love Sloppy Joe. That guy's radical.
I really like that concept.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Milk
well,
Baby is now just a sentient pile of milk.
they are now going to explain what every kind of super ability gives you. So we have, if you have,
Oh, rad! Let's go.
if you have mega strength, you can have a crush ability. You can have a shockwave, which you clap your hands and this gives shockwave, or thunderclap might be that. Who knows? Can lift even more with the base strength. If you have mega dex, you are just super accurate and so on.
Rapid striking.
You can make anything. There's a ton. You don't have to
lot.
talk about. You can
Big
generate
list.
with your mega con. I'm gonna want to get to one specific thing which I've
Oh yeah.
put in. Yeah, you want to get to the social mega attributes.
Yes.
Someone knew what they were doing with this one.
Yes.
That's definitely a Liefeld lady.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see feet, so it has to be. No.
I mean, if you just pan down, the waist is going to be about as big around as a Coke can. That's how you know it's
Mhm.
Liefeld.
Yep.
Anyways, okay. Jokes aside, art pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I like
This
the
is
art. In this book
again
quite a
super
bit.
solid because
Mhm.
there's a lot you get for your super attribute, and you can be a super charisma guy. You can be a super good looking guy, and it gives
Oh
you
my
something.
god, I'm actually super into this. There's Mr. Nobody, and I love that ability.
Yes,
That is
yes,
such a
yes.
cool concept to be just the guy that nobody notices. That is such
Mhm.
an interesting
Yeah.
thing that you could stick onto pretty much any character.
Mm-hmm. That's Clark Kent has that as soon as he puts the glasses on.
Yeah.
The only way to
awesome.
explain it is
Exactly.
actually part of the superpower.
Mhm.
And
If I was writing Superman, that would be the first thing that I talk about
the
instantly.
the other thing you can spend your points on is just straight up powers. So
Yeah,
this is
there you go.
shooting
Bada
the
boom.
lasers and hyper movement and all of this stuff. And
All that Dragon Ball stuff.
yeah. And there's a lot again. There's 100 pages of the superpowers in this book.
Oh, dude, the guy in the Animal Plant Mastery drawing is so radical. He is like the most druid-looking guy I've ever seen. I love him.
I scrolled
He is
past
so
him, but I know
cool.
what you mean. Yeah,
That's a really good one.
this
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, this would be. I mean, I'm gonna say this right now. I think the artist got told, "Oh, you need to make a guy for a druid picture," and then he handed in an elf, and then they said, "No, it's a human," and then just shortened the ears a bit.
Look, humans can have ears like that.
Yeah.
Don't bully them.
No, that's fine. It's very good art. I'm
Got
just
something against sharp ears?
No, absolutely not. I just told you my headcanon for this specific piece of art because I feel like this is
I
kind
know, I
of
love it.
druidy, elfy indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, I love him. He's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I do love him. And again, good art here. I like this guy. Reminds me of One Punch Man, of the
Oh, yeah.
Beetle guy. Yeah, and
I like that guy.
Dr. Spencer Balmer, aka Antius. Oh my god. I feel like we have gained clout today just because we have someone with actual. We have a guy who made
Big
a
clout, let's
game
go.
here. That's amazing. I love it.
That's such a cool name.
Yeah.
I like that name. I like that name a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all of these powers, I'm looking at it and I'm going like, yeah, I would play a character with this as their main gimmick.
Mhm.
You know?
Totally. And it's also a thing like, while it's not specifically telling you how to make new powers in case you miss something, there's so many here that you can probably take one and base your thing that might
You'll
not be in
figure
your.
it out. Yeah.
Base it
Yeah.
off of whatever you're missing. I like this one. This is such a comic page.
This
that
just
is.
kind of that. Oh yeah, that's God. That looks good. So it's really the only problem that I have with this is really the reliance on kind of the superpowered fantasy. And I know, I get it. That's the thing. However, there are a lot of people who want to be Iron Man or Hawkeye. They want to be these characters who are relying more on their equipment rather
Yeah.
than their their actual powers.
Yeah, I
Because like if
think-
you look at like even Captain America, he's a majority just like it's the shield. The shield's the thing.
Yeah, true.
Mhm.
And the man behind it is mostly just a regular guy with some steroids.
I agree. It's
And that's where it is really tough, however, to balance a system around that, because if you make the equipment too powerful, like this is an issue with a ton of different games where if the equipment's too powerful and the superpowered characters put on that equipment, then automatically they are better than the people who rely on the equipment as their base.
indeed,
And that's where that balancing act is really tough.
it's just kind of why it's a smart decision by the game to be like, yeah, everyone has this thing in their brain, and if you don't have that,
Yeah.
you are not superpowered. But you're just a guy. Have fun. Yeah, because you are right. Because as soon as you put super tech in, you have to ask the question: why doesn't Iron Man just make everyone a power suit, especially the guys who don't have durability? And the answer is just always don't think about it, because that's a problem with comics. That's not a problem with the games.
Honestly, when I'm kind of just spitballing here, theoretical design, I like the idea that the amount of equipment you can use decreases the stronger your powers are, or the more you have. So right, like Superman has a billion different powers, way too many. He only really has 2 equipment slots.
Yeah,
Batman, no powers, got 30 equipment slots.
You can balance it. You can balance it, but I kind of like that this game just doesn't bother.
Oh yeah, they just don't care.
And you can again, golden rule. You can just always say, yeah, my powers are not from the brain. My powers are from my tech, and it's just mechanically in the game works the exact same.
Oh
so
yeah,
this is Aberrant, Chief.
Works perfectly.
This is Aberrant.
Thank you, Onyx. But yeah, this is a solid game. I enjoy it. I want to play it really bad. Like it's the exact opposite of the DBZ want to play, because Dragon Ball is like, I want to play this and make this ridiculous nonsense, but this I would play an entire arc or 2.
Listen, I do want to play Chunk, and let me just find Chunk. Because I'm sure I saved.
I love Chunk.
Didn't I save this? Oh, I'm sure
He's
I saved
so strong.
him. Yes, Chunk is very, very strong.
I look at his face very frequently.
Let me. Okay, I had on my server. I have no idea why Chunk landed on my PC, so I have to find it again. Yeah.
Yes, Chief. It is a fantastic superhero RPG.
I would very much like to thank Boat Lord for drawing Chunk.
Yes.
From 2 weeks ago. Which is it's so good. He looks so happy. Yes.
Oh, he's just happy to be there.
Yeah, and we also have IKEA. I have to jump to that, and
my character was too normal, didn't get anything.
My character was just the same, and it didn't get anything. We have IKEA and Chunk, the dream team. Just to go back to that.
Jokes aside, I did actually make my character to be the most generic DBZ.
Yes. Your character would just be a trace over Vegeta or something.
No, Vegeta's hair is so bad.
No, you trace the body
No.
and then put different hair on top.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's.
That's every Akira Toriyama character, though.
I know.
See, we cracked the code. All right.
Yeah. I do some more of a superpowers game than a superheroes game. Yeah, agreed. It's and the distinction there is that you don't have to be very good in this game. Kind of it's supposed to be the struggle of being good. But if you want to set your own goals, you can. And yes, we are still scrolling over lots of powers which you can take, which is all very nice. All of this is just to look at something. Level tells you how much it costs. Minimum quantum, I think, is how much you must have before you can buy this at all. And then what do you use in this? It's basically its own skill that you then buy.
Man, Matter Chameleon is so cool. That's just like that's the coolest stuff. Oh, what is his name? Kevin Levin from the mid seasons of Ben 10.
Is this?
That is so radical.
Power to have his body taken from. Yeah,
I'd play that character.
This is Grunge from Gen 13. I know my Image comics. Never.
It just shows you how much I hate Image comics. How the first thing I thought it was Ben 10.
Yeah. Oh, well, and Gen 13 is the only good one I know by Image Comics, to be honest. There is a few good single comics, but the only good longer one is Gen 13. And even that suffers from just, all of a sudden there's a new artist we didn't even tell you. Look at this new worse art. But
the guy costs too much.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, this is a good one. Yes.
I have created a grenade.
I would like to point out that we are at M still. I've been scrolling here for a long time.
All of these things are really solid. Like,
yeah.
This really feels like a thing where you're not going to make this character the day of the session. Like, you want to spend a decent afternoon scrolling through these and checking them out. But really, what I enjoy so much is that the description is the least important part. Everything you need to know is above the description, and the description is all just context. And that's incredibly helpful. Game designers take note of that. You should explain your entire power before you hit the description of the power. And that's where, like, we had issues with not only like Dragon Ball, but also Haven, where everything was just muddy and all over the place.
Yeah.
No, give it a good, concise, basically description of the power, how it works mechanically, and then give us your in-universe. Or give your in-universe, and then at the end, give your mechanical breakdown.
Yeah. Chief, as we have already said here today, we would all play this. It's a good system.
Yeah, 100%. I'd play this tomorrow. I'd make a character right away.
The normal superhero game things apply. You don't want to play this with half a cast of power gamers and half a cast of storytell gamers, but that's kind of true for any game. It's just more pronounced if you play a superhero game, because the min-maxers are gonna have a field day with some of this stuff. Yeah. It's inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
It's just you have to play this with a good group of people.
Yeah.
Like, this is so common with anything, like literally any game. The the refrain is always the same. If you are dealing with somebody who makes the game not fun due to certain actions, then you just should not play with that person. And there's so much waffling when you tell people that, where they go like, but this guy is a friend of this guy and this other person, and so they're two, like, no, it's get a new group then.
Yeah,
like get a new group.
Get a new group. If even one person cannot be removed from that group, well, honestly, that's just probably a bad group.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I would say it's always a bit of a question who this is with. If it's real life friends and you're mainly doing it for real life stuff to hang out, then you still shouldn't play a game where your characters are gonna crash. You should play.
Even if you're playing with friends, you could just realize that you don't like playing tabletops together. I've had friends that I can play fighting games with and can't play tabletops with.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And if
Exactly.
Just be an adult
yeah,
about it, you know?
if you have to, I mean, have to is the wrong word, but if you just end up being like, okay, we want to play an RPG together, but our styles are not that compatible, less crunchy system is gonna serve you better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But really, if your main thing
Go
is
play
I want
City
to,
of Mist.
yeah, if your main thing is I want to play I want to play RPGs, then oh my god, you have to find people you actually want to play with, who gel with you, because there's nothing worse than playing with people who are not on your wavelength in that case, because then it's no fun at all, because you aren't having fun, because these people are ruining it for you. They are not having fun because you're ruining it for them, and the DM is just probably just there asking themselves, why the fuck am I even here?
Yeah.
And no, please be on one wavelength for this. And conversely, if it is a game where it's just real life friends having some fun, don't expect it to be the greatest game you've ever been in. You are there for the fun with your friends. That's fine. And if you get both, perfect. That's the perfect group. But if you can't have, just know your
On
priorities.
top of that, that's not a zero-sum game. I
Yeah.
mean, the last session that I ran just last night, that the impacts have kept me awake till 4 a.m. It was an incredible storytelling session. It was super good, and it was supposed to be filler because we had like half the group who couldn't show up.
Mhm.
And the session before, we only had one person missing. It was completely filler, and it was nothing. It was a very average, everybody hangs out, beer and pretzels game. Those two things can exist within even the same story.
Yeah.
It could be in an arc, and like one session could just be beer and pretzels dungeon running.
Yeah. You can have all sorts of stuff. For example, for many years I played with a person who really was only there for the fight, but they were a very laid back person. So while we weren't fighting, they were just kind of also there, not again saying something if they wanted to, but most of them just not saying anything, just hanging out, having fun. You could tell that they were vibing with the game, but they just went into role playing themselves.
Yeah.
And then
I actually really like having players like that.
And then when the fight started, they just came alive, killed stuff, and had fun. And then the fight was over, and they would shrink back.
Yeah.
That's fine. And you don't. And as the DM, you should not try to make those people do other stuff if they don't wanna, because then you're
My
ruining their
only
fun.
beef is like I don't like having an entire group
Oh yeah.
of passive observers.
Right. You need.
I think I think Colville had a really good breakdown of this, where he took every like player archetype and boiled it down into two: either the audience member or the active participant.
Mhm.
And if you have an entire group of audience members, you're going to need more active participants.
Yeah, indeed. And
Completely.
just to point out, that's not that would not be not gelling. But if you have a guy who's like, but my character wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
As their first defense of
I'm just playing my character.
I'm just playing my character as they rob the orphanage.
Well, that guy needs to get out. No, that guy's gone now.
Yeah, that guy just needs to leave, because they are doing shitty stuff, doing stuff that's gonna cause a problem in game for no reason, and also with the party, because many people don't like getting played against soft PvP, hard PvP in a game. Yeah, just get them out of there. And
That being said, I think as a GM, you are going to naturally have player types that you gel with, like people that you value. I would say not people, but attributes that you value. Like, I really enjoy when people pay attention to the shit that I say and can come to conclusions based off of the information that they've gained. I like players who think, basically.
Yes.
I enjoy that. And if you don't want to think and you want to just show up, kill monsters, I'm totally fine with doing that.
Yeah.
However, I just never want your disinterest to kind of, rub off on the three people who really like thinking about the shit and solving these problems in universe.
Agreed.
Yes.
So long as you have, I would say, like 40% of your group who are players who vibe just with what you like doing, you're good.
Yeah.
The game's gonna be good.
Yeah. Agreed. Definitely.
Thinking is hard. Screw that.
I mean, Chief, you say that. I mean, in our game, I've put a very obvious clue to your current problem on the map you have been seeing for a week and you didn't find it, but it's fine.
What a drag. It's so mean.
Oh, Chief knows better. This is coming from a place of love. It's okay. And I think it's no. What the
No, I have my players right now attempting to decode how like the metaphysics of my world work, so that they can exploit it.
Nice.
And it's a great time. It's a great time because they're wrong all the time. I love that. I love the idea that everybody goes off half-cocked. It's all half-baked thoughts and assumptions. I really dig that.
Yep.
I would rather have
for
my
sure.
players die to their assumptions than anything else.
Ah. Okay, and now I get to the part
All right.
which, due to work and stuff, I didn't have time to read.
Yeah.
But I assume it's kind of White Wolf normal stuff. So do we do combat
Oh,
in
I
this game?
love this jackal-looking dude.
Yes.
Oh, love him. That's my favorite Spider-Man villain.
Hmm.
I love the Clone Saga.
I don't have a favorite Spider-Man villain.
I miss it. Ah, no, favorite's got to be Doc Ock. He's too fun.
Yeah, he's too fun.
So yeah, I didn't.
Looks like I caught you with your
didn't read
plans
this
there.
part, so I didn't do my homework. My friends. So someone take over. If you-
Okay, I also didn't do this because I assumed it was going to be just like regular White Wolf combat.
Yeah.
It pretty much is,
My-
honestly.
My,
There's a few
Yeah!
extra things.
my one question is,
Assumption.
so how if okay, classic question, right? My
Yeah.
character has super strength and super dex, so I'm a good fighter. How quickly do I punch a normal dude to the ground? Just pulp them.
Oh,
There's a
like
section
almost
on pulling your punches you
instantaneously.
just blew past.
Good,
Mm.
good. So then next question: how do I how does this game square that base problem with groups where some people won't be super strong and there might be a super strong enemy, and if the wrong guy gets in their path, they're just pulp? What happens?
Well, that happened all the time. Literally, that just happened all the time when I was playing it in tabletop.
Okay.
The first time that I played for, I don't know, maybe 12 sessions. I played a character that was supposed to be a throwaway joke character because it wasn't taking it seriously at all. But I wound up loving it because it was fun. I just played a character that like maxed out their mega stamina. They had an appearance of 1. I took mega appearance to make them hideous, and they looked like a zombie. And
Nice.
they couldn't even come up with their own superhero name because they were too dumb. So everybody just called him Dead Man.
Cool. I like it. That's
He was a
good
lot of
one.
fun.
Sorry, I was in the other
Um,
room grabbing a coffee. You literally made Toxie. You
Yeah.
made Toxie Adventure. Hell yeah.
Oh, Onyx.
Let's go.
Onyx. Onyx.
He was a lot of fun.
Onyx, I like what you are saying, because
Yeah.
if you know anything about these systems, for example, also Exalted, Dex is the god stat, and you need it because anyone who doesn't have it is just gonna get hit a lot.
Yep, that's pretty much what happened constantly.
And if
And then
that's-
eventually I was like, okay, I'll take some mega strength and some mega dexterity
if that problem is
instead of
solved,
just getting beaten up.
is I won't say solved, dare not hope, but if that problem is at least tackled into an extent in
Yeah, or
in your
addressed.
game, addressed in some way, that's a good news, because that's always what I've
Oh,
been
yeah.
missing. Because
Yeah.
while Mr. Super Dex should obviously have a big advantage in fights, it's just narratively boring if you have to have it, you know?
It's also
Yeah.
just I feel like the people who write dexterity based systems, this is an issue. I was complaining about this last night on a call with a writer friend of mine, and it was explicitly about the use of firearms in media and the assumptions made about firearms due to media. And I remember in that call, I was talking shit on gamers and like zombie fiction because like the constant assumption is, well, I mean, if everybody's got them guns, then ain't them zombies just dead? And well, the answer is no. I mean, there's a billion reasons why, but like one of the biggest issues is you never see anybody reloading magazines in film
Yes.
or in games. And, just like that, you only ever really see people dodging in movies. You see them slipping out of the way, but a majority of the time is if you are not getting hit in a big fight, it's not because you dodged at the last second and slipped the punch. It's because the dude threw the punch wide or made an incorrect judgment
Yeah.
and swung wide on you.
Right.
But majority of the time, it's people missing, not you getting out of the way.
One of my favorite sum up things of anything ever is just the last scene from the second season of Walking Dead with the Mario coin sound every time they do a running headshot in that scene.
Oh, yes.
It's a constant ding-a-ling of sound because they're just every shot is just the zombie just falls down because these guys are the best crack shots with pistols you've ever seen, and it's obviously dumb as fuck and shouldn't be in there. And
honestly, like I would be fine if every time they aimed they even skidded to a stop.
Yeah,
because as somebody who did a lot of action pistol, you can do that, but usually your maximum range on still moving and getting something like that is like maybe 6-7 meters.
Yeah,
even
it's literally a guy running away, looking over his shoulder and in the direction, bang, and the zombie falls down. It's so stupid.
It's crazy. It's ridiculous. And also, yes, Freeman, the endless shotgun is one of my favorite scenes in that. I love it. Where Herschel is just like it's like 30 shots. It's that one Gus Johnson bit, like, I got 36 rounds in this 6-round gun.
Yeah, you have to assume each time it cuts away, he just reloads immediately.
Yeah. He does it like Shadow Warrior, Shadow Warrior 2, where he just pumps all the shells in and then like flips the gun over.
Yeah.
It's sick.
And then on that same topic, like you almost never see a misfire in film unless they want it to be dramatically appropriate. And even then, they somehow get away even after a misfire.
Oh yeah.
Especially after an apocalypse.
Synthetic on Steam. Which incidentally, I think I'm playing Tuesday with Chief maybe. Is one of the best ones for that because you do any shot you make in that game can just be a misfire, and then your gun is jammed, and then you have to unjam your gun, standing in full view of the enemy killer robot, and
I love that game for that.
Having a good time, and you can literally run behind cover, unjam your gun, jump back out, shoot, and it jams again.
Synthetic.
Yes.
I'll spell it.
It's really good. Synthetic is fucking great, especially since that game has a mechanic where they have a reload button, right? That that from games you should press R to reload. Well, Synthetic has a button to dump your magazine, which by the way makes you lose every shot you didn't use from that magazine because the magazine is not on the floor. And then you have another button to reload because it's not a one-step process. It's fucking isn't.
It's a multi-step. My favorite reload mechanic that was ever in a game is in Battlefield 1942, and it's just the most simple thing in the world. It counts your ammunition in magazines and clips, not in bullets, which is the most gamer thing in the world. There's just I have just a loose bunch of bullets in my back pocket, and I can just jam all of them into a magazine in a fifth of a second.
Yeah, that's dumb. We were tangenting.
We are tangenting. Well, this is the tangent stream.
Yeah, this tangent stream. That's good.
That art, oh my god, that you just scrolled past. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Look at that. That is radical.
Fuck, I have to find this now.
Holy shit. Whoa.
Let's see. This reminds me of a specific guy from a specific comic. Just keep talking. I'm finding this right now.
I'm so into it. This reminds me a lot of like the designs from, I talked about Infamous before. It reminds me a lot of the designs from especially like the Trash Men from Infamous 1.
Oh yeah.
Which are like one of my favorite factions ever. I love those dudes. And I think that's the direction I would go if I was playing Aberrant. I feel like my game would either go more into the street level kind of emergence of powers in terms of something like Infamous, or or something along the lines of like My Hero with a much brighter atmosphere. But like that's I think where I would go to. I mean, and that's stuff that appeals to me, and it's things that I could really get into.
You have to find one.
And
where
that's the
this-
crazy thing. I don't really care for. I don't care for a lot of superhero games explicitly because of the type of setting that they go for, which is
Yeah.
usually very vague or just kind of off Marvel. And I've never been a fan of the DC setting. I do not like games that have that type of atmosphere to them. I don't like the living gods kind of mentality. That's always been really kind of lame to me. It just doesn't feel very characterful.
Yeah, okay,
So,
agreed.
Yeah, I'm totally with you
So,
there.
yeah, something along
Because
that
you're so
that
much
line, or
lost.
something in the-
Oh,
oh
this,
yeah,
but
something in
this
the middle,
guy
something like Invincible. I could get
instantly
down with.
reminded me of
Oh, yeah.
is this guy,
I love him.
Willie Pete.
What a cool dude.
From
I'd hang out
Empowered.
with
Empowered, another thing I would maybe want to run, a more light-hearted thing, except when this guy shows up.
Mm.
And,
Oh yeah.
and eats you because we can taste superhero flesh if you have enough endurance. So very dark in that moment, but usually very light-hearted. Empowered is fun. And the art in this, if I'm comparing art in any game to Adam Warren, who's a really good artist, then you did good job with art. Congratulations, editors, or whoever put this in. I made sure the new Aberrant could emulate Infamous. You can have an element like electricity you can absorb from your environment, convert into quantum. Nice. I like that.
I really like that. Yeah.
That's nice.
Makes me might be able
That's
to make an android in that then. It's also cool.
that was part of the reason why I like Promethean the Created too, with being able to absorb electricity
Oh yeah.
as a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah, 100%. I would if somebody said I'm going to run Aberrant tomorrow, I would stay up late tonight and make a character and play it tomorrow. It's really solid.
Okay, I would maybe not be able to run tomorrow, but yeah, Aberrant. I definitely I want to play it. I want to play it.
You immediately checked your schedule.
My schedule says tomorrow I might have time, but not in times Emery would. Basically, I would want to read the new book and make it from that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Wouldn't want
Fun
where I
fact,
would
I
lean
bought
to.
the new book on the stream.
Yeah. By the way, we are not sponsored. We're just chilling anyway because
No,
this
it's just good.
It's good.
Just
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm very glad I suggested we do this.
yeah, I'm just, and the last part of the book, last 30 odd pages,
It's just on
is
storytelling.
the usual World of Darkness
Usual stuff.
storytelling, DM advice, which is just solid as stuff. They basically wrote the book LOL on GM advice, so good
Yep.
job.
Yeah. Yep.
And then we get to the appendix, which gives you all
That's all the equipment and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
the equipment stuff
Nice.
and the stats for stuff and tables for your powers, what they cost. Basically a nice
Henchmen,
quick
love
ref at
that.
the end. Then you have the credits
Yeah.
here. Lots
I
of
am
powers
I'm
you can
significantly
buy.
impressed by this.
Yeah, I am
This
too.
is I thought this was going to be bad. And I don't know why.
Well, Onyx, I'm glad you have you. We are doing this show every 2 weeks, so we might talk about your book, but probably not soon because, well, it would be a direct comparison episode might be fun, but I don't think we wouldn't do too much Aberrant at one go. Again, normally we do terrible RPGs. Which was the worst one we did? Is it Haven? I think it was Haven.
Yeah,
right?
Haven.
Yeah.
Haven's the worst, I think.
Haven is the only one that I would never play. I think that is the only one out of
Mhm.
all of the ones we've done. I would play Final Directive, or Prime Directive. Sorry,
Yeah.
I would play Prime
Final
Directive. Final Directive. I would play that. That sounds awesome.
That's
Somebody
the
get me
Mirror
that.
Universe version.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That'd be so cool. I would play this. I would even play Dragon Ball because it seems like a fun shit post. But like Haven is absolutely, I would never touch it. I
Yeah.
despise it.
Yeah.
Haven writes that line where it's not quite as terrible as something like Fatal, but it is basically that terrible. It's just
It's just incomprehensibly
yeah.
poor.
If it was
It's so bad.
if it was twice as long, it would be another Fatal, I think. But was thankfully short.
I don't know. I think it just suffers from not enough milk, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we could have more Milk Baby.
yeah, they might just put
I'm
call
just
it
saying.
Haven City of Milk Baby. Instant 10 out of 10. We would all want to play as Milk
Ah,
Baby, and then
Milk City of Baby.
Baby City of Milk is the expansion pack.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then we are at the end of this one. So
Yeah,
do we?
and they have a good index.
The index is fine. I think it might be it's 2 pages, which is okay.
Solid.
Since
Yeah,
the
it's not
book
bad.
doesn't have, I mean, you don't have to put all the individual superpowers in your index. You can just put, I don't know, superpowers in, and then that's 80 pages. But who cares? Just find it. You
Yeah.
will only need to find it once for your character creation and write it out. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
a
So
very good book. Again, my only
Works.
basically my only complaint about layouting is that the story part comes immediately. That's weird to me. It should. I don't know why the decision was made. I feel like having your table of contents and at the front is just better.
Yeah,
yeah,
I always feel that way
would,
too.
I would put an intro. I think this is where I'm kind of thinking of the Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, which I think has a really good layout where it starts you with an intro to kind of the setting and basically like a primer, and then it
Mhm.
gives you the TOC, and then it gives you all the setting detail, and then all the
Yeah.
game. And I think
Right.
that's a really good way to kind of break that up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Again,
agree.
just giving people an easy on,
Right.
an easy on ramp.
Because that's almost the thought, right? Because this isn't. I mean, the book is still good. It's like, but if I cracked this open in 1999, wearing my braces and being in the RPG shop, I would be put off by not knowing. Okay,
Braces.
apparently we're reading about Mr. Portman in the first 5-6 lines of your game.
Oh, the lady from that new Star Wars.
Who the
It's
crap was
1999.
apparently Mr. Portman? I didn't know, and
I was
then-
trying to get into the fantasy of being in
and
the
then
90s with you.
You would turn the pages, and then it would just keep, it would just keep being more and more stories. So this is the one
Actually,
part.
now I'm
Meh.
thinking about that. I desperately want to get an RPG shop in the 90s of the three of us. That would be very cute.
Oh God,
Little
Oh, that'd
Nero
be
with
perfect.
braces.
who would be the DM there?
I feel like we're all three of us are
Yeah.
forever DMs of some-
I feel like all three of us are. Yeah,
At that age, I was not yet DMing.
I was the forever DM already at that age.
I started playing RPGs, and after hanging out with my brother and playing like Halfling Rogues for like a little bit, I became a GM, and I've been that way for years.
I have.
Mhm.
For me, it's like, okay, I started when I was 10, 11, 5th grade. I don't know what that means. And then the first game I ever played was with one friend of mine and their older brother. That grew into the older brother having better things to do, but us recruiting other people. And then we were all 12, and someone had to DM. It wasn't me, it was my friend. And then we would play other games, and I would sometimes DM a little, but I wasn't good at it yet because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And
I'm still not good at it.
much later, I fell into the forever DM role when it was time to recruit people after school was done, and
Yeah.
everyone drifted apart, and I needed a new group. The only way to do that at that point, if you're recruiting your real life friends, is to be the DM if you have any plan.
Yeah.
So then that was my role.
Mhm.
Really,
So-
I'm into the idea that everybody should have their turn in the barrel,
Yeah, for sure. We
Oh,
did
yeah.
that with, again, this also feels like a
It's
thing
just
where you
one
can do
shots.
that. This one,
Yeah.
as well as Shadowrun, feels like a game where you can be like, okay, I have my character also. They aren't always here because they are, I don't know, busy in Nicaragua. I don't know.
That's a really cool idea. Yeah, I would love that idea that you can kind of mix that in
Yeah,
Mhm.
and switch GM very frequently.
that's
Yeah.
the thing. I always, if people are like, oh, I don't know we want to switch around, but we don't know how to do that in D&D. Fucking don't do it in D&D. It's not really made for that. Do it in Shadowrun. Do it in this. And some other systems.
It's
Trick?
this is perfectly suited to that because it's just like, oh, okay, well, we're all part of the super team, whatever the
Yeah.
super team is. We're the West Coast, I don't know, nihilists, whatever. Just go with it.
Thanks for the blood donation. I like the West Coast Nihilist. That's a good one.
I take that. That's my new that is the new villain group. West Coast Nihilists.
Unexpected.
And they're like 90s like grunge punk. That'd be
Yes.
radical.
Yeah.
That's so cool. They're a supervillain team in Portland.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
Perfect.
The
The three of them sitting outside of a Starbucks going, man, I remember there's just one of these.
we don't
Yeah,
say
Those
that.
are the days.
What's the point?
Here's our team leader, Smash
Yes.
Mouth.
I like it. I like the nihilists.
Wait, no. Wait a minute. It would have to be the team leader Bizkit.
Yes.
The leader of that team has to be in the middle.
is
And his
special-
superpowers has really limp, floppy limbs.
Yeah, and he can roll really well.
Yeah, yeah, and he can break stuff.
Yes.
This is terrible. Why are we doing
This isn't terrible. This is fun.
This
This
is
is
fun.
absolute gold. So yeah, I
Yes.
mean, honestly, this to me is a must play. I feel like
Yeah.
this or even the newer version.
I want to play
definitely,
this for sure. Yeah.
My specific play experience that I want is I want to play, I think, a game or like a short arc of this, maybe like 3 sessions,
Mhm.
and then I want to play the newer version.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
Usually,
sure.
if given the choice, I play the most modern version of games possible,
Mhm.
just because I feel like design advances over time. It's one of those
Oh,
things that really never regresses.
Okay. Now,
Like we never really go back.
now
We
I
just
have
kind of reinvent and continue.
I have the question for you two.
Oh, let's go.
If we
Yeah.
ever were to run a game between us, who
Mhm.
between us is the DM?
I want a GM for the two of you, definitely.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I like GMing more than I like playing. I think I do.
Okay.
I
Okay.
genuinely I enjoy writing stories, and while I like being a player, I mean, GMing is super fun.
I found that I like DMing single adventures, or I
Mhm.
like DMing super long campaigns. I don't
Mhm.
like the middle distance at all.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
okay.
I gotta ask real quick,
Yeah?
because we're basically wrapping up right now, and we did do this halfway through Dragon Ball. What kind of character would you want to play in this? Like
Ooh,
what?
I mean,
What's your aesthetic? What's your vibe?
I was of the impression that that would be a thing we would talk about for a long time.
Are we going to? I'm down.
I think it would be interesting to talk about this.
Mhm.
I have a few directions I could go. I think my go-to character, and that's one I don't envy the DM for trying to make this work for me, is just someone who has super extraordinary insight into
I
things.
like that.
Who's
Mhm.
like
That's cool.
normal in every way, but if I see you touch your nose, I now know you are double timing your wife with someone else because of that mannerism. That's the kind of
That's
character I
strong.
want to play.
That's cool.
Hmm.
And
That's one of the things I like about this system is because they actually have a mega attribute for that.
yes, indeed, I saw that and was like very happy.
Mhm.
Um,
It's very fitting.
yeah. So when are we doing this?
I feel very boring because the characters that I really enjoy, especially in superhero comics, are very, very simple. Like the moment that I was reading through this, my first like aesthetic thoughts were straight up like a West Coast like punk character. And I thought about Superboy, the original run of Superboy, where he has the
Oh,
he
yeah.
has the spandex jumpsuit underneath the biker jacket with like these
Mhm.
studs on the shoulders, and I was like, I love that. And from there, I started thinking just about a very generic, like almost straight up like Invincible kind of
Yeah,
guy. Where it's
yes.
like my thing is I'm strong and I fly and I can maybe do a couple of weird, other little abilities. Maybe I can absorb matter or something, but I'm just a very simple, like a Wonder Man kind of guy.
Yeah. What I'd
Oh
say.
yeah.
What I'd say.
When's
is,
the Wonder Man movie? I would pay so much for Jeffrey Dean
Ah,
Morgan as Wonder Man.
That sounds
Ooh,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
right?
good. That would be good. Yeah.
Ah,
Oh
That'd be
man,
really
I
good.
would
Right
pay
now.
so much money for that movie.
in case anyone here of any, the old 6-episode Tick series, I would pay a lot of
Yes.
money for more of that.
Yes. I know
Oh.
what you're talking about.
I do like the Tick.
I love the Tick. I loved that old
Sunlight,
series.
thank you for the resub. The old Tick,
But yeah.
the old Tick was amazing, and I would okay.
Yeah.
My second character is also just a strong guy, a strong invincible guy,
Mhm.
because that's
I'm
fun.
the great blue yonder.
That one, there's so much
Okay,
obvious appeal with being just that. It's, to me, that's fun.
Freeman, I can answer that very, very succinctly. Wonder Man is an old Marvel Comics character, and the best way to explain him is Superman, but he gets his power from, I believe, absorbing energy, and absorbing that energy makes him unstable, like ridiculously, like personality-wise unstable. He's a very kind of emotionally stunted guy. He lashes out at people a lot. He's constantly kind of like very low tier abusive to the people in his life, and it's mainly just due to that kind of strange imbalance that his power causes. And I think you could very easily replicate that in this game.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of character who's a very problematic kind of strange
The
strange
character
dude.
I just dropped is straight from Worm with the power set. And they also
Oh,
have,
I just forgot. Wonder Man's also an actor. I
Ex-
forgot about that.
nice.
I love
They
that
also-
one.
They're also extremely abrasive in that, because you don't have time for human interaction if you just know everything about someone immediately.
What a stunted asshole.
Yeah, that's oh, in the comic, in the story, she's one of my favorite characters. Because
I dig that.
it's interesting in a setting where a guy can turn into a house-sized monster that shoots energy. How your power is still somehow more scary if you just because you just think. It's fun. It's a fun thing. And the most fun part about that character in a moment is when they get introduced to their power, is like they tell one sentence to another character, and then that creates a crisis of faith that lasts for 100,000 words in the books, and then just ends with that character basically dying because they had that one thing put into their head. It's so interesting. But anyway, yes, I would play this. I'm kind of pumped, actually. The
Yeah,
questions-
I'm in.
Tiger can already think of a handful of concepts too.
Yeah.
Playing like a Hellboyish character, or somebody who his family is with some sort of mafia or organized crime, and they keep trying to get them to use their superpowers on behalf of the mafia.
Yeah.
Okay, then
Yeah, I'm instantly down for the character who's got the very generic power set, but that causes that kind of emotional imbalance, and I'm down.
well,
Oh, yeah.
then let me pop the question then. Do we do this instead of a next episode? Do we run Aberrant?
I mean, I'd be down for it.
I'd be down for it.
I'd be down.
Yeah. Imagine the
Alright.
the worst timeline possible in which we say the same thing about Haven. Just for a second.
Oh, God. Oh, I don't want to think about that timeline.
That's like our
the
mirror
time-
of universe selves.
Yeah,
that's the timeline where I have white hair. I'm even paler, and my
Yeah.
jacket's black.
we all have goatees
Yes.
because it's the evil universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
have
it's-
goatees.
Oh, I love that. Nice deep cut.
We might. Sundert, I'm
Is
not-
that the universe where role-playing game books say things like, all right, well, if your character dies, you need to go in the pain booth for a bit?
Yeah. You need to tell them that you can't get pizza with the rest of the group, and that that guy needs to go home and read the encyclopedia from A through F.
No, it's so bad. Yeah. Oh man. Eh. Again, I'm down. And I am also down. I wouldn't say tell this to anyone, but Sundered, I know your chops, and I think you could be in as as a third player then, at least for a
Yeah,
turn.
Mhm.
I
Because
think so too.
Sundered
That sounds super fun.
I mean, not to be elitist here, but Sundered has displayed all the right opinions that I like. So, so I would be down playing the game with Sundered Ant for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so well,
Oh yeah.
I'm down in 2 weeks
Yeah, I think
because
that's a
rock
good
and roll.
idea.
I will need at least a week to read even more in this book and
Oh yeah.
come
Read
up with
through
stuff.
it
Yeah.
and try to create a solid character.
Hmm.
Now,
What
here's the
tempest-
question: does
Ooh.
one of us run, or do we get somebody to do it?
Who would we get to do it? Is my question there.
I don't know. That
don't
is
know.
the question.
Oh, and Onyx, you can
I'll learn.
stop selling your game. I'm gonna buy it after
We're
this.
in. Yeah, I already bought. You have $20 of mine now.
The
You already
only
have-
reason I am not going to this website to buy is that I would have to put my credentials in, my name and so
Yeah.
on. And I don't want.
I love your game. I actually for the last few moments have been looking at the new stuff, and I like the new art style. It's really solid.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
let's give it a
It has a
second.
very very crisp look, and they reuse the kind of like the TV aesthetic on some of the stuff, the CRT vibes, and it looks
Okay.
really really solid. And they have an introduction here too. They have a comic book in the beginning, and then they have an
I
introduction
guess
right
it's
after the.
2020,
It's
maybe.
really solid.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really good.
Uh,
I
Ooh,
like all of the
forgot.
stuff here. I like the designs, like just everything's interesting. They also have a section on like other areas like Central America and like how like Africa's doing. It's not just like their relation to America.
Oh, this
It's
is the old one.
I
What
really
was-
like that.
what
That was probably
exactly-
the one thing that made me love Shadowrun more than anything was the fact
Yeah.
that there were so many books that just said, okay, well, there's these cities where this is going on.
Is this actually it?
But yeah, it's really good. This looks like a really solid system, and I kind of want to get into it. But yeah, I would love to create those characters in both systems
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and do kind of
Yeah.
a prime run versus new 52 run
I like
and see
the
how
idea.
that goes.
I like the idea.
Me too.
We should and we
I
will.
really dig it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we
I mean,
will.
we have just decided we will. So yeah, the question of who would run it. I mean, you said you would want to run
I'll
it.
do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
We
Yeah.
have 3 players. Sounds good
Yeah.
to me. That's-
Sounds good to me.
2 weeks on Saturday. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I'll write something and get it specced up.
Cool. I'm so down. Wow.
Yeah, I'm extremely
Um,
down.
Just
Mm.
be patient. It's been a while.
Oh,
Uh,
it's
It's
fine.
been a while since I've run anything White Wolf. Actually, man, when was the
Oh.
last time? I think the last White Wolf game I ran was like 6 years ago.
My last White Wolf game I ran was also 6-7 years ago. Yeah.
It's been a hot minute, but hey,
Yeah.
you know.
That's
Well,
part of the reason why I
yeah.
love the White Wolf systems. It's just like
let's go.
the dice never trip us up. It's the other
Yeah.
stuff.
It's pretty simple.
It's everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say from a GM standpoint, putting on my GM cap for a minute, I do really like this book. There is a significant lack of GM help in terms of adversaries. They give like I think
Mhm.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's for something that is so varied. This is why I actually really enjoy Cipher. So in the Cipher system book, like half of it is adversaries because it's it's a generic system. I think it's my favorite generic role playing system. But you take a look at that, and it's got androids and supervillains and mooks and mobs and all sorts of characters.
Mhm.
And I think that's something very useful for like running this. Like let's say I wanted to run regular thugs, but in that I also wanted to kind of rope some, let's say like some Bane style Venom thugs where they're just
Oh yeah.
a little bit buffer and they have some low level super strength and that's the kind of granularity that superhero systems have. So either I would want to have a lot of examples or I want to have a template.
I want to have a template system that I can very easily
Yeah.
build.
That sounds good. Sounds
well,
fair.
Build
Thankfully, the new
Um,
edition does have a plug and play template. So
So
Woo!
one thing I will,
Yeah.
I have
That's what
to,
I'm waiting for.
yeah,
I have found.
I
The
mean
other
that's
thing,
the thing.
I found the other thing that this book has to get dog points for. Where's the character sheet I copied from the book? This is 1990 something. There's no character sheet in here. That's interesting,
Wow.
actually.
Wow.
Maybe whoever scanned this didn't include it. That's a possibility.
It's quite possible.
But
Mm.
well, at least from what I've seen here, I mean, is the pages missing? That would explain this.
I also just saw a Photoshop of Tom
Two
Ellis as Wonder Man,
items.
and I don't think I've ever seen something better. I love it. Look at this.
It would have
I
had to
love Tom
be
Ellis.
between
God, he's cute.
here somewhere. Oh, final page character sheet. Okay, so this is just not included. That's fair.
Oh, Nathan Fillion's also talked about he wants to be Wonder Man.
Hmm.
I would watch a Jack Nathan Fillion be that abusive
Oh man,
douche.
yes, yeah, it sounds
You-
like the
It would
perfect
really
role.
split. Hmm.
Yeah, I think like there's so many actors that can do that very well.
Right.
But yeah,
Mhm.
sweet.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to take a look at the new book. That's really good.
Yeah.
But oh, he did. Okay, cool. That show
That's
that nobody
nice.
watched. That's built for nobody using the animation style that's been dead for 10 years from a terrible show that nobody should have watched. I will talk so much
Goddamn.
shit on Robot Chicken and Seth Green.
Goddamn.
I absolutely hate that show.
I have no idea what this is. Modo.
And I think the shots that Seth MacFarlane has taken at Seth Green for like 20 years about that show are perfectly valid.
So
Because Seth MacFarlane, if you guys don't know, has constantly taken shots at Seth Green because he has basically bankrolled all of Robot Chicken multiple times.
Yeah,
I like
yeah, I did know about that part.
I like the robot chicken balls joke when the automatic dog crushes the balls of Captain Kirk.
Haha.
Yeah, that's
Very topical.
I like that joke, and there we are. That's my robot chicken
There you
input.
go.
The rest is it's crass. It's shock humor like Happy Tree Friends. It's fine. I wouldn't really go for it.
It was tiring. I didn't enjoy it. And also MODOK, I just don't like MODOK. Like he's so
Yeah,
lame.
MODOK is I never understood. It's just a big face. I'm sorry, I can't be intimidated by this.
Look at that guy. Look at that guy.
I know he's strong and he's superpowered, and he's probably mind bent my ass into my face or whatever. But I
Yeah.
don't. But look at him. I can't take him seriously.
That was oddly specific.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, Onyx Path. I didn't know that. That's really cool. I would love to see that though.
what?
That's cool. I like that. Like in universe, Simon Williams playing Tony Stark or playing Captain America would be so funny.
Hmm,
I would love to see that.
it's-
I like Wonder Man,
Sounds
and I like in universe media.
Yeah, that's true. I do like it. Again, one of the best parts of this book easily is all the in universe well written backstory stuff here. Again, if you not to run to that well too often, but if you look at Haven again in comparison, it's just Haven is the most meandering garbage ever, where this man tells you what every fucking house in that city, and it's all boring and it's all the same and it's all so bad. And this book effortlessly sets the scene for you, which
Gives you
is
the
what
whole
you want.
it gives you the whole story. This is something
Yeah.
that you see a lot in Talsorian games that I think they do very well, especially in Cyberpunk, where they just give you a timeline and these are the events.
Yes,
And
I gotta say
it-
that. Yeah,
it allows you, the thing that people don't pay attention to is that type of timelining allows your GM to put their game anywhere in the timeline that they want because they know what's going to happen later, therefore they know what doesn't happen now.
Yep.
And that can allow them to create tone, mood, and atmosphere. It is so important
Yep.
if you are writing something, especially in a modern context, to give a timeline of how your stuff deviates from the modern world right now,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mhm.
your universe is like, and what the
Mhm.
small scale setting is like. That
It's
Exactly why you don't
Priceless.
mention Bright didn't work as a movie at all, because the story was if your story is magic exists and it has been with us for 10,000 years and elves and orcs exists, then you can't
Why
also
is-
have had the exact
so why
same
are Mexicans getting
history.
the shit for the Alamo?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite lines because it's so bad.
Yeah, they didn't think. And it's also,
No, they really didn't.
if that works, for example, let's give you an example how that works. Tangent Time. I was in a Shadowrun campaign, where we played through the major events of Shadowrun from first edition onwards. And at one point in that, our characters happened to fly over Chicago in 2055 or whatever the year is. And at the table, everyone was tense as fuck. Because that town is not only going to get nuked, it's also going to get invaded by a million insect spirits who are all going to eat everyone. And basically, you are doomed. And obviously, our plane went down because of a nuke. And we had to survive in Chicago. And we all knew what we were getting. It was the most tense shit ever. Because, of course, in character, you can't be like, no, we are not taking this plane. Why? Oh, I have a bad feeling about this. No, you take the plane and you know you're gonna get fucked, but that's what you signed up for, kind of. And you can put, again, this game only has 10 years of timeline, but you could be like, it was started in 2009 or whatever. We started in 2005 when Puerto Rico becomes the 51st state of the United States of America. What happened there? Maybe I have a story for that. Just reading this 2-line thing, we might have a story for that. I don't.
My immediate storyline that I can think of is straight up having like a Homelander U.S. poster boy who's been campaigning and then just heads down to Puerto Rico and starts to extrajudiciously just solve problems until they acquiesce.
You can make a lot with little in these cases, for sure.
Man, that's cool.
And it invites to read between the lines, because it's not like, again, Haven, every time. Haven would tell you, oh, this is all a big conspiracy and blah, blah, blah. In this book, you can read it and be like, it's kind of weird how quickly everything got solved. Isn't that weird, brain? And then your brain is like, yeah, it's kind of weird. And then you can make up stuff. It tickles your imagination.
Yeah. It really does. It really sparks creativity.
Yeah. And that's hard to do, and this is why White Wolf kind of wins in the setting game a lot of the time. Because even D&D doesn't do this very well. Aberrant does it kind of good.
Yeah.
But for example, Faerun is a boring ass setting, if you ask me, and it's.
I think it's mainly just because they take away so much of what makes the Forgotten Realms interesting from like Greenwood's input.
Yeah.
They make it very safe. It's a very safe setting.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. If you dig deep enough, you will find like so much interesting stuff about even the most mundane aspects of Faerun. Yeah. But like that's not stuff that most GMs are going to be talking about.
No.
Yeah.
It's like most people haven't read like Salvatore's novels or like have gone like deep into Greenwood's original setting detail or anything like that.
Yeah. I will come out to say I don't like the Drizzt novels because I tried to read them and didn't gel for me, but I can recognize they are not bad. It's just not my thing. But, I mean, just to talk about setting. I mean, if you knew nothing about this game at all and just happen to crack it open on page 35 here, and then you looked at page 36, and one of the people on your interview is just this green orc dude.
What a cool dude!
Instant interest in this game because
he's the guy from the Druid portrait.
Indeed,
yeah.
Yes, isn't he? Yeah.
What a cool dude!
And this you can look at 5 random pages of this whole 100-page section, and you will find several good things in there. Several things that tickle your imagination bone once again, or that give you something that you could put in your own game or change.
Yeah, very easily.
Yeah,
you could hyper focus on any portion of this book very easily.
And it's better written, I mean, than even games I would say have good story, like Eclipse Phase, I think has real good setting. But Eclipse Phase suffers from it making it way too obvious that everything is bad and everything is a conspiracy and everything is out there to annihilate humanity and so on. While this game I mean, here's a thing about American gladiators with this baboon man and this pyro man. And now
That's
now
radical. That's
they are
super
fighting,
fun.
and he flies away, and now he's back. And this guy kicks him.
Like you don't need pro wrestling in this universe because now you
Exactly,
have superhero
yeah.
fights.
And
Like,
this is
Oh yeah,
this is.
I really like the superhero luchador theme a lot.
that's awesome.
I have
yeah.
not. Even if you don't read this text, you can sort of follow along and be like, yeah, okay, I guess this is just entertainment TV, because this shit's normal right now. Fine, cool, I like it. And yeah, best part of this game is the setting. And even if you don't use this, in many games I'd be like, yeah, just throw the setting out completely. Who fucking cares? And in this, I'd be like,
even if I threw this out, I would still probably draw very heavily
Yeah.
from what they stated here because
Yeah.
this is all really
Mhm.
solid.
yeah, and in this,
It really
again,
is.
and any White Wolf as well. I'm like, yeah, you can throw out the setting, you can do your own thing, but make sure you are at least as good. And I don't have to say that to most other settings, sadly.
I mean that's where you have a bar that you should be hitting, and this I would say this is like I think like 70% bar to me, which is an instant pass. Like straight up, if you can do better than this, by all means do better. But if you have even a shadow of a doubt, just hit this. You'll be fine.
Yeah, indeed.
I cannot say that about Forgotten Realms, because if you run Forgotten Realms poorly, then it's going to be the most boring thing in the world, and it will almost always be more interesting to have your toy box homebrew than a bad Forgotten Realms.
Is this Scully and Mulder? Before Scully and Mulder? Kind of.
Looks a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say.
The and even if you're like, oh, we don't have thinky heroes in the, I mean, we kind of do. We don't have Iron Man in this. You can just say, yeah, he uses his powers to build that stuff, but and just mechanically he has this, but we are still using the setting because it works. We can put Iron Man in mechanically and just not worry about where the powers come from. Because that's if you want to change the conceit that everyone has a thing in their brain, then you can change that conceit. Still use the setting, and it's going to be okay.
Oh yeah, it'll be more than okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God.
And you can, since it has a mechanical thing attached to it, the node background, you can just say, okay, well, I have a mystic node or whatever.
Indeed.
I have a mutant node.
Yeah.
I have a nihilist node.
Yeah, but like, does it even matter?
No.
Doesn't really.
Not
No.
really. I mean, it matters to him, I guess, to the person who has the node, who put the time into find
not
out.
the nihilist.
No, that's the same
Exactly.
Dude, that's the same energy. Same energy. Someone who did a 53andMe or whatever that's called did, and they now know they are 2% Cherokee or whatever, and so they have to point that out to you. That's the same energy. Cherokee, not Cherokee. I said that wrong. But you know that type, right?
Yes.
I know why I like
My powers are because of magic.
Yeah, I know why I like lamps so much, because I'm 2% Greek on my mother's side. Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of person you just want to shoot out of a catapult into a windmill.
I hate them. Despise. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I think that it's very easy to sell people on this fantasy, because if it's fine if you want to be Batman, if you want to be Daredevil, but maybe not for this one, right? Maybe for the next one, something that like being super powered isn't the core fantasy, and it's more about the the world as a whole rather than kind of your experience as a superpowered being. And you can always ask that of people, just like, hey man, maybe not this time.
Yeah, which is also why I said my thing, because in the moment my character idea is that because I want to play the character, but maybe I won't play the character for our thing because I want to make something original with this system, because it also tickles my brain. But I didn't. I think I could make any character in this, which perfect.
I feel like you could make almost any character with almost any role and have it be entertaining and interesting.
Oh yeah, you definitely could.
Yeah, and if the new one, again, ordering right after stream, is even better, then awesome. And I might have a thing I have to actually get my friends to play superheroes again.
Oh yeah.
Even if they don't really want to. but I'm the DM, so I get to decide.
Well, that's the thing. It's just like this is an easy sell for so many people,
Yeah.
like this specifically, and that's part of the reason why I picked it is because there's so many superhero systems that are genuinely difficult to sell people on.
Mhm.
Whereas this one, it's like, oh, okay, it's White Wolf. Okay,
Yeah.
well, it's actually simplified in some ways. Okay,
It's gonna
wow,
play
picking
well, and
cards
you're gonna
is
have a good
easy.
time. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things where it's just like, okay, it's hard to fight unless you have mega dexterity. Okay, whatever, let's go.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we cannot just death pact right now to none of us takes mega dex, so we don't. So then it's fine that no one else has to have it either.
Yeah, I'll
All
cross
right.
my fingers and then just take that.
Hey, you are the
And then
DM.
I'll be the only. See, then that's the power. Now I'm the strongest at the table, and now I can talk down to everyone because I have the mega dexterity.
But you
very
Ah,
quickly.
Wipe the
you're-
Cheeto crumbs from my beard, you fool!
But you're the DM anyway. You are the most powerful anyway.
That's true.
so-
I am the GM. Oh no! I forgot.
I mean, you can make your DMP, you can make your DMPC have that and just
I'm not
solve
gonna
the
do that.
fights.
That's
I don't know.
terrible.
Yeah, that is terrible. I know.
Terrible, and I love it.
Do we want to tangent on superheroes or
Mhm.
in general? Or what we don't like about them? We said we would do that at the start, or are we kind of done?
Yeah, I have an issue with superhero stories just because I don't think they ever focus on the right stuff. You know,
Mhm.
you have so many individual interesting books, but the most interesting comics are not about the biggest wars. They're not about the biggest battles. They're not about Superman punching a guy through 3 buildings. They're about like emotional and characterful dialogue and stories that matter to those characters and to the audience. Like the best Superman speech ever is The World of Cardboard, and that is specifically because it gets you into the mind of that character.
Yeah.
And into that world, and you start to feel for the turmoil of that person. It does not matter how dark your comic is, how many people you kill, if it doesn't fucking matter. And that's my issue. And we're seeing it right here in Stanley Owens. It does
Yeah.
not matter about your shoulder pads. It matters who the character is. Because through this
Exactly.
entire interview, they never tell you who Overkill is.
Yeah.
They just constantly tell you
yeah.
he's brutal, he's a cyborg, he's gonna murderlize people. He's got the biggest shoulder pads, the biggest guns, and the biggest bulge, and I just don't care. I just
Yeah.
don't care because he's boring.
It's
not a
The
character.
opposite of care, indeed. It's just, I think, why so many people are very in on Spider-Man, because Spider-Man has always been very street level and very has at least his own problems, can't make rent and stuff and
Yeah.
so on.
Oh, exactly.
His
It's
stories are easy to relate to.
Exactly. That's kind of the minimum you want to hit, and if you're and that's why Superman, I think, doesn't click with many people because he's hard to relate to at the surface.
Yeah.
Because how do you relate to a guy who just can't be beat, can't feel pain, can't be?
Yeah.
Can't
I
be
mean,
challenged?
That's
like-
mainly it's a strange thing because people are like Superman's strength is entirely in how you write him. Bad stories
Yeah.
are going to make him very boring, and a person who only sees that surface level is only going to show that surface level, and that's the Superman we get in movies.
Mhm.
We either get emotionally detached Superman or
Uh-huh.
dorky Boy Scout Superman.
No,
we don't
we
get like
get-
the genuine,
we get
cool,
Sup-
chill dude from Kansas.
We get Super Jesus actually in the new ones.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
Snyder's a hack, and I hate him. And he should never be allowed to make movies again.
No, hold on. He needs to be able to make very simple films like 300 that are just
No, even
music
that.
videos.
I'm not willing to give him that anymore. I'm sorry.
I'm willing to give him, like, if he makes an entirely visual experience, I think he's fine with that. I think the moment he tries to get anything that means anything,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
does
I'm
make a
saying.
lot of sense,
Yeah.
honestly.
Okay, we can agree on he gets to make one fight scene per movie, maybe. that can be the coolest fight scene in the movie, and but someone has to rein him the fuck in, because
I love the idea that like somebody's writing a script and they go, "All right, we're gonna take you to the fight scene, man," and they go to
Yeah.
a warehouse and it's like a concrete chamber, and then all the walls drop around, and it's Zack Snyder chained with 100-pound adamantine. We will unlock him for just a moment, and then his powers will be unleashed.
yeah.
He has no limits. He is the
Wow.
music video man. It's just like McGee.
Now I know who to play for this game. Gosh.
It's just like McGee, where if they're making a music video, it's going to be fun, but it can be a 2-hour music video, but it can't be more than that. You're never going to say anything substantial or interesting.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
But that's a big issue, and then you hit stuff like Marvel, where I think Marvel does really good superhero stories.
Yeah,
I think their comics are okay. I think they've made a lot of slip ups in the modern era. I think that the way that Marvel approaches minority communities is really, really kind of like from a market standpoint, and it's really obvious. And I just don't dig on that. I want, if you're going to be showing representation, I want it to be genuine representation. I don't want you to be selling me a character.
Yeah,
Like they put
that's
out
my
their
biggest
first
problem with it too.
non-binary heroes, and they were just the most awful. People memed on those for months because those non-binary heroes were awful, and their whole
Yeah.
personality was I'm non-binary.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
straight
There
garbage.
are people still talking about that to this day. Like
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just so terrible.
because it's
so
easy
bad.
fodder for the chance of this
Mhm.
earth to laugh forever, because it's the same
Mhm.
energy as the I don't know. Look at this socialist, and it's like a pink-haired woman
Mhm.
shouting at the camera. And no offense
Yeah.
to that woman, but they are gonna pick the worst of us to represent us.
Uh,
Mhm. Yeah.
And not the worst in personality, the worst caricature, instant caricature. You can just make fun of, and that's exactly what those heroes were. And Onyx,
mhm.
I agree. Snyder, visually,
Yeah.
Snyder is good.
Mhm.
That's what I'm talking about when I say music videos and
Yeah.
2-hour music videos.
The
Mhm.
problem I have with him is also a lot of the visuals he does are just straight copied from somewhere.
Yeah.
He's visually Snyder is okay, but I hate him because he has ruined so many things that I like.
That's
Mhm.
valid. That's
That's
very
quite
valid.
valid.
But yeah, when you get down to it, I think their films are pretty solid, and I think that's what people think of now when they're thinking of superheroes is almost exclusively the Marvel films.
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah, they totally are now.
If you want my opinion on Marvel? Yeah, solid is the right
Yeah,
word,
go
because
ahead. What's your opinion?
they could be way better if they took more risks again.
100%.
They started out
Mhm.
taking lots of risks. They found a formula that worked really well. Now they are using that for everything. And
Yeah, and we're
Mhm.
seeing a little bit of that broken with like Taika's direction and some of the other stuff that's been coming out more recently. But then like that's why it was so jarring when we got Black Widow and it was the most generic, terrible like 2012 Marvel movie. Wait, sorry, 2013 because that's a post Avengers. But
Yeah.
like it's just the most stock standard, 2010s
Mhm.
superhero story, and it was so boring and nobody liked it. It did not come out at the right time at
Mhm.
all. It misused
There-
all of its actors. It was a very boring film, boring safe film.
And the attempts at humor just felt tired. Like
Completely tired.
nobody wanted to tell these jokes.
It felt
Yeah.
like a movie that was written during that time and even filmed during that time because it uses the same kind of style. But like then you get stuff like the Spider-Man films, which are just like classic Spider-Man stuff. Like
Mhm.
I love Homecoming, and I just watched Homecoming again to relate to some of my writing students, and goddamn, it's a good story. That is just it's fun. It's a classic.
That's
Far From Home,
Standard.
absolutely great. But
Standard.
like really,
I agree. We do need the showdown between Snyder and Michael Bay. Both get unlimited money.
There would be so much lens flare.
Make the biggest boom dumb movie ever. Just don't have any story. It's fine.
Michael Bay wins.
I know.
I'm just gonna say Michael Bay wins because he has more connections. He's like Batman. He's got prep time.
Yes, I know.
He also has the Transformers on his side.
Which is
does.
why I want this, because then Snyder would lose even on the feat he's best at. I hate him. Can only say this again. Fuck Zack Snyder.
I love your hatred for Zack Snyder. I don't know why.
I have hated him ever since the Watchmen movie.
Yeah, the crazy thing is I love the aesthetics of the Watchmen movie. I just hate everything
the
about it.
aesthetics are great. Again, they made a good trailer for that movie, and then it should have just been shot out of a cannon after that. Because he sadly made the whole movie afterwards as well. The whole movie is just garbage. Just looks good.
There's one good scene in that, and it's the death of Hollis Mason. It's not even theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Mhm.
indeed. That's yeah.
Oh
That's
man, but really, I think that's my issue with the majority of superhero stuff is that it it pays a lot of lip service to concepts like political ideologies and social issues, but then you don't really get a significant actual breakdown of those issues and how it interacts with superpowered beings and what they mean, because so many people write
Mhm.
like they write superheroes from like a eugenicist standpoint that's really strange, where it's not about like
yeah.
it's always this weird thing about exceptional people who are just born like that, and it's so weird and supremacist in the way
Mhm.
that some of these people sell their stories, and then they want to talk about the supremacism angle and they do it poorly and they end up sounding like nationalists. It's just like it's such a strange line that you have to walk, but really if you just set out to make a good story, make a good solid thematic characterful story, you're going to make something solid, and that's true for any aesthetic, even the superhero aesthetic. But
Yeah.
it's such a rough, it is such a rough time, just because the comics that are popular with chuds. Like
Yeah.
that's the toughest thing about superhero stories. You change one thing and the chuds are all up in arms. Just never forget what the Mandarin twist from Iron Man 3 and how much people like banged on about it online.
Oh yeah, people
Can't
did
how
not forget that.
Onyx.
how dare you not write my stupid ring wearing alien ship bad guy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. Just I agree
I'm sorry, I
with.
ranted way too long.
No, that's fine. You ranted the
Oh.
exact right amount because I agree with every word you said.
Yeah.
So why would I stop you when you are making a good point?
But
Onyx.
that's
Yeah,
why
that
I like
was a
stuff like
really good point.
Invincible. Like, holy shit, Invincible is so good. Everybody should watch that show. It
It's
talks
really
about
good.
all of those fears of having super powerful protectors being the only thing that you can deal with. It's a terrifying, like anxiety inducing thing.
Mhm.
It's on my list. My list is getting
Mhm.
longer and longer because VTubing takes time.
It do.
Yep.
It do.
Maybe
I watched
do,
all of
it do.
Invincible in like a weekend because it was just that good.
I
Drew
might
me
I
in.
might have to just watch it before we play
The
this.
performances are so good, and
Yeah.
also,
I
oh my goodness,
stumbled
gonna
across
say,
the
like-
comics recently and read all of them too, and the comics are really good too.
comics are solid. They just have an issue with the early pacing. That's the only issue.
Yeah,
I have with Invincible comics. They
they
try to
do.
get to the
They
thing
definitely
really
do.
fast.
Yeah.
And
Onyx, Onyx, I like. I think I've seen that one. I've seen the rap battles. Not all
I
of
feel
them
like I have.
are great, but I think overall that's a good series, fun series.
Honestly, that series does kind of impress me. Just like I don't like them, but man, the guy who writes those, he definitely has some writing chops.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm. It really does.
what I don't like about them is it comes down to my politics being very left and that writer not being very left. And
Interesting.
having some bad opinions that I don't like, but I can appreciate the music, the rhymes and stuff. It's for that alone.
I forget
it's good.
which one it was. I think it was like Stephen King versus Poe or something, where it's just like he gets like factual, like incorrect statements about both of those
Yes.
writers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that stuff that's like either hearsay or completely incorrect or completely
Mhm.
misunderstands their work. It's like, what do you do? What? Why did you do this? But man, yeah, I have issues with I would say like 90% of superhero media,
Yeah.
and that comes from just a love of storytelling and a dislike of commercial storytelling. And
Yeah,
that's a tough thing because you have to kind of balance that being
Yeah.
a commercial success versus being an artistic success. But if, again, good writer makes good stuff.
There's there's two kinds of comics out there. One is comics, and the other is comics from Asia with big eyes. You might have heard of them. And there's
I don't think I have.
I recently saw a meme.
You call those mangoes, right?
Yeah, mangoes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I recently saw a meme
Chinese mangoes.
which is like I don't think I can find it anymore, but it was like, yeah, I want to start reading the series. Where do I start? And then there's the comic side where the guy in front of the pinboard says, "Oh, you could start here, but then you would miss this and that and that." And then there's basically a wall of text about Batman. And the other thing is, then there's the chat on the other side who says, "Here's
Issue
the
one.
first issue," and
that's an issue. I think this was covered very well. This is going to be a specific poll that touches you, Nora. Pat Stares At touched on this in a very old episode of the Super Best Friend Cast where he was talking about why he hates comics. And it's like, if somebody says, yeah, go read Superman, well, you could read this one run, but this is a series that's been running for like almost 100 years. Like, what do you mean? Everything's interconnected, and unless you get something like the New 52 or like Ultimates, I think if you want to start reading comics, just read Marvel Ultimates. That's an old series now, but dang, they had some really good, concise, and clear characters.
I want to, you are right. And
I love Ultimates.
I mean, if the problem isn't obvious, if it's impossible to get into your fucking thing,
nobody's gonna get into it.
Then you're not gonna get viewers' eyes on your thing. Yeah.
I know I've talked so much about this, but like this is I've talked too much in this episode, but goodness sakes, like the issue with crossovers that was made by Avengers, where like crossovers have been a thing for comics forever, but like now, they used to be their own unique thing. Like the lead up to the original Infinity Gauntlet series was kind of its own event, and then Infinity Gauntlet happened. But due to like the expanded universe and the interconnected cinematic universe stuff, they've started doing that in comics. And now it's okay, you have a Spider-Man story and you have a Doctor Strange story. Okay, now the Spider-Man and Doctor Strange story are talking about the same thing, and then that splits back off into their individual issues, and then it comes into like Doctor Strange and Punisher, and it's continuing that same interconnected story from the Doctor Strange to Spider-Man. But now you also have Spider-Man and Wolverine, and then it all leads into a huge, massive crossover with like 35 different comic lines, and you have to have read every single one of them at over $7 to $10 an issue. It is so absolutely insane. I am becoming Charlie in front of the pinboard right now. Yes. But like that is such that is anathema to storytelling. That is, you are killing yourself by trying to include all of this interconnected shit.
It is the worst. But now we're getting to the inverse problem that mangoes have that comics don't. The comic, even if it takes you 1,000,000 years to get there, eventually you're going to get a payoff. It's usually not going to be great. But please tell me how many mangoes you have read where there's an end. Usually you just meander forever and then have to be wrapped up if they get a wrap up at all. And
well, that's my greatest rage in the manga industry is that I always forget this guy's name. I don't know why, but he's one of my favorite manga artists, specifically because he made Yu Yu Hakusho. And I talk about this all the time, where Hakusho died so that Hunter x Hunter could be mediocre. Like the guy ended Hakusho because he was having health issues due to his hoarding and his disgusting lifestyle, and got really sick and just ended it quickly out of spite that he couldn't do the work he wanted. He was going, I can't make the art and the story that I want, so fuck it, I'm gonna nuke it and destroy my story like 2 arcs early. And then started Hunter x Hunter, which is the most generic, like it's Dragon Ball, like it's knockoff Dragon Ball JoJo, and it's just absolutely like useless as a story. Like it had no use at the time it was published, and it has no use now because other stories that came before and after have done it so much better in every single way that it's like a nothing manga. There's no value to Hunter x Hunter.
That's what I heard, and that's why I don't know 100%.
It. Manga does that stuff all the time, where it just ends in an unsatisfying fashion. High School of the Dead did the same thing, where the artist died.
Yep.
Or the writer died, and the artist didn't want to continue it, even though he had the notes. He's like, I'm just gonna let it go.
Yeah, I mean, okay, higher problems like that, I would say, can happen with comics also, but yeah.
I don't think it's as common though, because comics
are not as common.
The difference in how they're commissioned, because you commission a full run, like Marvel goes to you and commissions, like a five issue run, and then you complete it and you ship it. Usually runs are done, from what I've seen in the comics industry, at least at the smaller level. The run is finished before the first issue airs.
Yeah, that's usually how it's done.
Yeah.
Then they can be sure they have the good product. Meanwhile, in manga, it's like, this is gonna get into weekly syndication now. Please don't do anything else but draw this, because we need it by Friday. And
to work 18.5 hours per day.
And do that until it's no longer popular, at which point we are just gonna leave you on the street. I hope you saved some money. It's a terrible system, and the only reason I think many artists in Japan still want to get in that is the alternative is working the same hours in a company where it's just sold as garbage work.
You don't get to tell your story or
Exactly, yeah.
put your art out there.
Yeah.
And that's just
Yep, that's why.
I feel like there could be a happy medium, but like American comics will come out with a single Spider-Man run and then like they'll do another concurrent one at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they drafted 7 different Spider-Man artists and now it's all Spider-Man. Every week you're getting a new Spider-Man. Back when I had a comic pull when I worked at the shop, I had like I think 3 different runs of Spider-Man that I was picking up.
Yeah.
And like that was half of my box because I literally could not buy them fast enough. And the stories just like kept coming and I'm like there's too many runs. And my boss kept going, "Okay, well you like Spider-Man, right? Yeah. Do you want to get on the new poll for this new one?" And I was like, what are you talking about? I have 7 of them." And he goes, "Well, yeah, there's a new one out." 2 of them just ended, 3 more started. Well, what are you talking about? This Hydra, this Marvel Comics Hydra that cannot be satiated. It will eat all of your time.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's comic
I'm
rant
sorry,
done.
my crack energy has destroyed this episode.
Yes, that's true. That and again,
Standard, I can see that.
And again, the constant competition for all of them is just the worst. With 20 series, one of them is going to be the worst this month. If it's the worst, well, better be better next month, or we'll think about ending it. What the fuck? Yeah.
I will say, actually, I think Sunderd brings up a good point. The way I prefer to read comics and have for a long time is I like to wait for runs to be over and then buy an omnibus. I like to buy like one single book that has all of the issues in it. Same thing with
I
manga.
prefer to do it too.
I would rather read the JoJo Jojonium collections than JoJo in singular chapters.
Yes, 100%. The best part about being European or American when it comes to manga is that you don't have to weekly buy them and basically get no story. I mean, I read certain manga as they get translated, and it's the worst because you just have months where nothing happens sometimes.
I don't know. I've never preferred catching up with things weekly. Like I did not like when syndication was really big on TV.
Yeah. I made it.
I did not enjoy it.
I do it for a few ones which I really like the premise of, and it's usually there's 200 chapters of this. Great, I can read this for hours, and then I read this for hours, and then at the end, and it's not over. And so now I'm at the trickle part of the content, and it's not great.
Yeah.
I'm very boomer bust with a lot of the stuff that I watch. The only things that I've watched in that syndicated style recently have been the Disney shows because they have forced me to. And the second watch through is always better for me because I can watch it at my pace. I don't have to wait every week.
I have seen the Disney shows, but I've waited until they were out. I don't care.
No.
I don't care to do the weekly thing. The only thing I did that for in the recent decade is the newest season of The Expanse.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
That one.
I remember when you were doing that.
Game of Thrones as well, actually. What a trash fire that ended up being. But
unfortunate.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Anyway, I think we can wrap it up here.
Oh, normally, game's fantastic. Go play it. Yeah. Go play the new one too.
Do what we are doing.
Spend $20.
Yeah. Normally we would ask Emory at this point what the next game is, but it turns out we know what it is. It's this game. Just again playing it, which is going to be great. We're going to see about Sander joining us, and
however, I am going to say right now. I mean, I can also pull one of my consistent longtime players in if you guys are down. She's been on my channel a lot.
I mean, if I'm going to bring one in, you can bring one in, right? Why not?
I run best with a group of about 4 people. I think that gives you 4 to 5 people is my preferred. Yeah, so I think that's a good
perfect.
Yeah, if they have time, let's do it. Sure.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I'm down. Spend $20. Buy new Aberrant.
Yeah.
This is the hypnosis port. Nora, do you still have the hypnosis mask?
Yeah, of course. Wait. I'm not sure
submit. Spend $20. Buy Aberrant.
It's gonna take a while to load. Where is it? Yeah.
I love how I'm becoming the biggest Aberrant shell.
I love it. I love it.
I'm also a huge. Well, I am going to be real. I shill for Modifius too. I like Modifius games.
Yeah.
But if you just does some good stuff.
Don't pay attention
I-
to the swirly and the words. Just buy this game. You know.
Buy
This
game,
is-
yes.
This is not a superpower. This is just a
Well,
thing.
this is a piece of equipment. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
an exceptional.
exactly.
equipment, Yeah.
This is not covered
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
rules, and so
Tony Stark's submissive hypnosis machine.
Yes.
oh god, he might build that in the wrong moment.
You are looking at the head of the new Iron Man suit right now.
Continue
Okay,
rolls,
it
run,
requires a
like
CRB.
continue
All right,
like
rock and roll.
officer. Cancel the cost story pathways. Well, okay.
All right, cool. Good to know.
Yeah, good to know.
Okay.
It's not going to be a
Good to
deal
know.
breaker for me because if I like it, I'm going to buy that as well. So far, I do. I'm just going to buy the superhero thing first. You know, I think maybe. Anyway, we have said what we are going to do. It's going to be next time we're going to play this somehow.
Oh yeah.
Details
I
to follow.
do, however,
Yes.
I have a game that I want to look at,
Okay.
and I actually don't know, but this is going to be in the future. I think my choice is actually going to be the Modifius Fallout game because I forgot that it came out.
Yes,
And that
That
is
would be
a
good to look at.
that is a complete Russian roulette. I don't know if it is good. I
Okay.
don't know if it is bad. It is completely unknown. I just love Fallout.
Yeah, I love Fallout too.
I'm a huge fan.
We can do that after we played this for sure.
Rock and roll, let's go.
Yes. Okay. So that's gonna
Yeah,
happen
so-
in 2 weeks, which would be when? This one
It's
on the 18th, I guess, unless we
yes,
have
I
to
think
Yeah,
it's
the
the
reschedule.
18th. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I am just gonna say, in terms of the new game, if you're getting a PDF, the Continuum rulebook along with the new Aberrant stuff,
Mhm.
that's $35. That's $35. That is half the price of most core books.
It is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even
really
with the
is these
two of
days,
them, so
yeah.
you're getting the core book and the setting detail and extraneous systems for half the price of like a regular system book. That's ridiculous.
It
Yeah, of
really
course.
is. Yeah, Onyx Path, official Onyx Path Twitch account. Thank you very much for being here, for all the info. Thank you everyone else for being
You
here.
guys were awesome.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Who we raiding, folks? Let's see if we have
I
anyone
don't
doing
know.
doing something superhero-y. Daisy playing Control, but I played Daisy yesterday. Oh wait, someone is playing Pathfinder, I guess. Is this
Ooh.
the game or is this an actual...
It might be the new game that just came out.
Oh yeah, it's a new game. That's close to what we want.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Uh,
What is it? Wrath of the Righteous or whatever?
Yeah, Wrath of the Righteous. One of these days we will rip Pathfinder a new asshole on this show, but not that there's not.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't even know if I have the strength to rip with that. I
Eh.
just like Pathfinder is just so there's very little that I like or dislike about it. It's just a
Mhm.
thing.
I think we're
Thing
rating.
that exists.
I think I was thinking about it, but I think we're rating Aeolus
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. Rock and
because
roll.
I've had a
Yeah,
good time with Aeolus
Hollow Knight.
recently.
I like that guy.
It's,
Don't tell him though.
I mean, we wouldn't tell Aeolus anything like that. No. But yeah, that's the one. So again, in 2 weeks we're playing this. Tomorrow I am on Stardew again with Azure as usual. You doing anything, Emery, in the next few days?
Actually, tonight I am.
Oh.
I'm doing the new patch, update 26 for State of Decay.
Oh,
With
nice.
Gnome.
Oh.
And so we're going to be trying out the new Trumbull Valley map. They put a kind of a smaller version of it in one of the last updates and last game modes, but this is going to be a much better version of that same map. So we're going to be checking that out, doing
just some zombie game stuff.
What time is
It's a
that?
good vibe time.
Is that tonight?
I think
Very
it's gonna
cool.
be like 3.5 hours. I think.
So
It's
you
about
can do
7
the
o'clock
math,
Central.
dear viewers, because I sure can't.
Indeed.
Time zones suck, and we should abolish them. Make the word flat.
Tatooine.
Yes, indeed.
I prefer dodecahedral Earth myself.
Yeah, we can have that fight another time.
D20
Yes.
Earth, let's go.
Yes, flat. We can agree that it should be flattened in some manner.
Yes, it needs to be. It needs to be lower poly, really.
Yeah. And yeah, beyond that, I don't know. I hope my next week at work is going to be less stressful. And also, I hope, Drake, your internet going to get better soon.
Oh yeah, hopefully
But
soon. It didn't really drop very often during